please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one, man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man, so tough, but man's keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. My girls, better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I will get to the basketball in a second because it is super rare, Stugotz, for everyone in sports where you can argue about anything to have exactly the same analysis of a game. And I believe I heard all of America, and it echoed internationally over the oceans as well into France. I believe everyone yesterday had the reaction of Nicholas Batum.
Playoff Nick.
That's what's going to happen. You play exactly, you get the Philadelphia 76ers to play exactly the game you need them to play. Turnover prone, get behind early. Their crowd is booing them. Booing them early and booing Tobias Harris late, their home crowd. And you get the inefficient games from Embiid and Maxey.
Yep.
And you get beat on offense and defense by the only man on the court and the only man I've seen in basketball this year that looks physically to me old. Like I'm so not used to. First of all, I'm surprised that he's only 35 years old.
What? How?
I'm surprised that he's only 30. Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Are you surprised that Nicholas Batum is only 35 years old? I thought Michael Jordan gave him too much money 9 years ago and that he was going to retire in Charlotte. We'll get to all of that in a second, though,
right.
But because we've got a genuine crisis on our hands here at both Metal Arc Media and our show. I don't know what to do as the leader of a company. I'm completely lost, honestly, on the fact that we clearly have a theft problem around here. Like employees are stealing things. It started with the fine bucket. Like that part, because we were so crazed in the move from the Clevelander and the move from ESPN, we really skipped past the giant betrayal of somebody reached into the fine bucket and stole all of the money. That could only have been an inside job.
Right. I feel like a lot of eyeballs are on me right now.
Well, this was not the place I ended up yesterday because for all of your crimes, generally you stay out of the food categories.
You're right.
You can be trusted to not steal food.
Correct. That's about it.
But what happened yesterday, and we've had this happen before, didn't somebody have like a sandwich or something that somebody took a bite out of that wasn't there?
I think it was Bruce, right?
Oh, yeah, that was Bruce. Bruce took that sandwich and ate it.
Our old video guy.
Okay, the guy who fell asleep during work.
Ham hands.
Yeah.
Giant hands. Giant ham hands for ham sandwiches.
Imagine him at Power Slap, Dan.
He
Wonder what he's up to.
Well, he'd be asleep. He'd be asleep during Power Slap. He'd be asleep right now. He was always asleep. We'd walk into other rooms and he'd be asleep. But I'd like to explain the scandal that we have here, and I'd like to go through the room and get reaction because we are presently, and I hope to have this before the end of the hour, we are presently rifling through security footage to find why it is that my assistant was enraged yesterday. Elise was enraged. It was a tiny, tiny little bottle of rage where she was wandering around. And there are going to be a lot of jokes at my expense here, thinking, of course, Dan's assistant would be enraged that somebody stole his cupcakes. Like, this crime looks bad for me that my assistant would be so crazed about the fact that somebody had stolen cupcakes that she had clearly put aside.
That's the job, Dan. Be enraged on your behalf.
But she would not get enraged like this on my behalf, and there would be no need to get enraged like this on my behalf. But the reason that she was enraged and the reason that I then got scared, because nobody here has seen this side, is those were my wife's cupcakes. And while my wife is an elegant, strong swan who nobody has a bad word to say about, go ahead and steal something from her. See what happens then. Because yesterday she was stomping around the house because a box of stuff that she'd ordered from Amazon came with one of the 5 items, because evidently now Amazon drivers, I would assume, are just going through stuff because there's just so much stuff going out, and Amazon can lose so much of it that I'm assuming that some Amazon drivers are thieves, and some of them just rifle through stuff when they want to on their last day on the job because they want to see what they could get away with. And so we often, this must happen to you guys as well, right? Do you often get packages that get the actual packages, but they've been rifled through and there are things missing?
Well, rifled through, no, but I know Amazon sometimes are like, hey, would you like to save the planet? Because we're doing it so much. We'll put everything in one box, or not, we can just send everything in 5 different boxes.
But none of you have had this happen? Because it's happened multiple times to my wife. We have genuinely, at both my home and now inside the boxes, a theft problem going on around deliveries. And now that theft problem has absolutely moved in here because it appeared to be obvious. Do you guys know who did it? Because I left here not knowing who did it.
I'm confused. Why are your wife's cupcakes here?
Well, there were some vegan, gluten-free cupcakes sent as yesterday's celebration, weird celebration about a year and a week of us being at the Elser, an anniversary celebration. And I guess somebody told somebody that cakes and cupcakes were being brought in. And this is the other problem here, and I don't know how your significant others deal with what I'm about to say. But when my wife knows that something at 11 a.m. is coming home at 3 p.m., the expectation of that, and she's excited about it,
right?
That better get home. Like whatever it is that thing is needs to get home, because now she's enthusiastic about it, and I do not wish her disappointment is something I do not want.
You're painting Valerie very intimidating. She's really sweet, right?
Oh, no, I just don't want to disappoint her. That's it. It's not
you
even
coming home is not enough.
Not
I mean,
her.
the wrath.
Is you?
No.
Okay. I think I've got you beat there.
I just want to point out something, just to make sure I heard this correctly. So these cupcakes were for the anniversary of the show being in the hotel?
Allegedly, the year and 1 week anniversary, because evidently we didn't get the date exactly right.
And the cupcakes weren't for the staff; they were for Valerie.
There were an assortment of cakes and cupcakes here yesterday for everybody, and Elise had taken the vegan and gluten-free ones, and 2 of them, and put them aside, or 3 of them, and put them aside for Valerie.
2 of them.
I'm telling you, you just said a key word there, gluten-free. I have a suspect.
Uh-oh.
Why are we deflecting from the Heat losing last night to the 76ers?
This is more important.
This is not more. People are here for Heat tears in the YouTube comments, Dan. I think you're doing a disservice. Also, it was me. I told Elise yesterday while she was looking for the cupcakes, it was me. There was no surprise that it was me.
Well, it is a surprise to me. I did not know that, and you may have told Elise, but Elise had not yet informed me. Elise had not betrayed. I still came in here today thinking there had been a crime that had been committed.
Oh, there was.
That was unsolved. I did not realize there had already been a confession because my assistant was enraged and stomping around here.
Now, Jess ate 2 cupcakes. I took 2 of them home. I didn't look at the label. I didn't look at anything. I just took 2 home. I took them to my wife. I mean, they could have been hers.
Okay,
I have no idea.
But here's one of the issues that we have. I don't know whether Jessica knew she was stealing these or not, but they were clearly put aside in a place where all the other cupcakes were someplace else.
Oh.
And Elise has a sitting area here where she had been for 2.5 hours, and it was around Elise's stuff. Like it had been clearly put aside, and I've never seen Elise this angry about anything.
Well, same.
Same.
She screamed at me. Like, in all seriousness, your assistant screamed at me yesterday. And the reason that I thought they were for me was because my food, since I have a gluten allergy, my food is always set aside and is like the gluten-free lunch order, breakfast order, whatever. So these were set aside and they said gluten-free. So I was like, these ones are probably for me. So I ate one of them, went in the studio to record Mystery Crate. Taylor told me in my headset, Elise is mad because someone stole cupcakes. So I went out into the kitchen, as you can see there, and I was like, it was me. I thought they were for me because they said gluten-free on them, and my gluten-free, whatever we order, is usually set aside when we have like a special cake or something. And then she screamed at me, and I didn't even get the chance to tell her, I only ate one of them. You could have had the other cupcake, but since you screamed at me, I guess I'm just going to go back in the studio now and finish Mystery
For
Crate.
the YouTube audience, we are getting an instant replay of Elise just pointing at the table and like pointing in the other direction. She is just, you can't hear her, but you can see how frustrated she is. It's hilarious.
The other thing about this, that spot where she usually sits is where deliveries go for all of us. And so I can see where the confusion lies there.
Yeah.
All right, you guys are good teammates.
I'm with you, Dan. She stole. I think she knew everything. I think she knew what she was doing.
The difference between manslaughter and murder still ends with somebody being dead, whether your intent was good or not. And these were stolen cupcakes, whether you intended to steal
One
them or not.
cupcake.
Forgive me.
I only ate one.
Okay, maybe your punishment will be less because it wasn't a quantity
Less than death?
I think
Half as much.
I don't know.
Daddy.
I don't. You tell me. You guys tell me what punishment should be. Should it be less if the theft is less of an item? It's half as much as you thought she was stealing, but she's still stealing.
We have a terrified Billy reaction to Elise.
In the middle of chaos.
All right.
As our lead detective here, I don't want to let Stugotz off the hook for a second, though.
Uh-oh.
Because it's not who you always most expect or least expect. It's the person you most medium expect is the one that actually committed the crime. And I think
I'm saying I could have done it. I have no idea.
And that's why I'm saying I want to pull in that thread a little bit more because Jess is the easy culprit. She's the gluten-free person, so we have to have cupcakes and things specialty for her. The thing is, if she's claiming that she only ate half a cupcake, which is what we have here on display in the evidence. Oh,
These are different cupcakes because, as it turns
Okay,
out,
let me
there were
close this.
actually like 12 gluten-free cupcakes.
There was a ton of them,
Elise
right.
could have brought home different cupcakes for your wife.
The reason why
I don't know
asked-
why she didn't, Dan, because it turns out they were all gluten-free.
Well,
including the one I ate and
hers-
the other 11 in the kitchen.
But hers was stolen, and that's not up for dispute. And you got a little bass in your voice for being clearly a criminal. Like
I admitted my quote-unquote
I understood, but in the courtroom, we're going to need to make sure that you are not someone who is in contempt.
I
Because
love
right now, the contempt is mine and my wife's and my assistant's.
Thank you, Dan.
I love Tony trying to figure out the case after Jess has said,
No,
I
because
ate the cupcake.
No,
Well, that's
because
one cupcake.
That's one cupcake
Dan
of
had
12.
6 for her.
That's right.
Yes.
The reason I still point at Stugotz is because Stugotz is notorious for kind of like a smash and grab where he'll grab something close to the door and then haul ass, right?
Yeah.
So I think if we can paint a different scenario, Stugotz saw the cupcakes right by the door,
Yep.
didn't see anybody buy them, said, ooh, I need to take something to Abby. Let me grab these real quick. In the same breath, Jess is out getting a different set of cupcakes, bringing those over to the center here, eating those, and then at least saw her with those, not knowing that you actually stole the ones that she had for
All right,
Valerie.
put this on the poll, please. Is the person you most medium expect the one who always committed the crime? And if you would, Chris, please get off the ground for me for Metal Arc Media the scripted televised series of Tony, the detective who solves the case after the confession has been made.
2 more things. So after your assistant screamed at me, I thought maybe these are like the rarest cupcakes in the world. So I Googled the bakery, and it turns out they have same-day delivery all over Miami-Dade County. So
Again,
I thought,
a lot of excuses when you're on
maybe
trial
Dan
for
will
being
just order
a
different
criminal.
cupcakes for his wife because
Right.
I think he has $30
Because-
to spare because he
right.
usually has like $2,000 in his wallet just in cash.
Well,
So
doesn't
then I
anymore
thought-
because he's got so many employees who are thieves.
Then I
Like-
thought, well, I feel bad. Maybe I should text her, but she did just scream at me. So I'm just going to let this one kind of go away for now. And then, of course, later on, everyone was posting the video that we caught in Slack. And then even later on, I saw Valerie's Instagram story, which said that she did eat a cupcake yesterday.
Yeah, because I had to come home with cupcakes.
Wow.
So no harm, no foul.
else the
Everyone got
wrath.
their cupcakes.
Was it a scream or a shout? Because there's a difference
Big
there.
difference.
Yeah.
Chris, you were there. What would you describe it as?
I think it was more of a shout.
Huh.
Because I think when you shout, you're just kind of frustrated in
Right.
general. A scream is more directed.
Well, let's watch the tape.
Well, hold on a second. What's the distinction between a scream and a shout? Which one is worse?
I think a scream is worse because you're directing it specifically at someone. I'm screaming at you. Where I'm shouting in frustration is a difference because it's not as pointed as a scream might be.
Roy, would you please look up for me the definition of scream and the definition of shout? We have more video being looked at. I don't know if we need the video anymore of whether or not Jessica, whether we can find intent in video of Jessica picking up the cupcake, but we do have video, I am told now, of Jessica learning at the moment that she learned while doing Mystery Crate. Just before I play this, take me through, Jessica, how it is the news is arriving, like what it is that you're feeling at this moment right before we play whatever this video is.
I'm just on my phone reading my messages, and then Taylor, who was in the control room, heard a commotion in the kitchen and then radioed me in my headset and said, Elise is screaming because someone ate her cupcakes.
Wow.
All right, let's
So
play.
this is my live reaction.
All right,
So it
live.
was a scream.
Let's see this live reaction to Elise's screaming in the other room.
There's no audio on this, so it's going to be hard to listen to.
Okay, so it's but there's her face. Okay, there's her horrified. She's looking around like she's guilty.
She couldn't look
I
more
literally
guilty.
admitted I did it.
She's
There is
admitting to
no
it.
Tony's still on
question
it.
That
Yeah.
I ate the cupcake.
Not letting you off the hook, Stu.
You know who's the most guilty?
I'm not
though?
letting myself off the hook.
The most guilty person is Chris Cody, because the entire time Elise was looking for the cupcakes, all you could hear is Chris Cody saying, "Who stole the cupcakes?"
Who stole the cupcake?
Well,
I
you
mean,
know,
it's such a ridiculous thing. Like, I was like, are we really upset about this?
it is ridiculous, but I can speak on behalf of Chris Cody here, and I'm not sure a lot of other people can do this one. When food has been stolen, the heavy-set people in the room get a little more self-conscious than everybody else.
When I'm safe, I'm like, yeah, not me for once.
All right, we got definitions here. Shout, utter a loud cry or call, typically as an expression of strong emotion. Scream, give a long, loud, piercing cry or cries expression excitement, great emotion, or pain.
Big difference.
No, it sounds like scream is worse.
Scream and shout and let it.
Bring the action.
When you have this in the club.
You know it takes a while for that part to get out, right?
Yeah, it does.
Nick Batum played with Greg Oden.
What?
And Brandon Roy.
Thank you. Can we talk about the Heat game now?
I really
Because
need.
to
No,
talk
I really
about it.
like this conversation we were having. I think it should go on for at least 7 more
I-
Who
minutes.
saw the Nick Batum game coming?
We'll talk
You never
about that
know.
in a second. For the moment, as we sort out your punishment, Jessica, go sit in the penalty box for a couple of minutes
Wow.
for thievery.
For telling the
Well,
truth.
she took one cupcake,
No,
though,
it's-
so it should be a minute.
It's not for telling the truth.
For being yelled at by your assistant?
It is not for, it's for stealing something. Let's be clear on this, because there seems to be a lack of clarity here.
Okay.
This is a universal crime that we are now deciding the punishment to. This is not the punishment, 2 minutes. She's being thrown in the hoosegow so that we can sort out what the punishment should be for what I believe should be a lifetime type of Jonte Porter type of crime, which is the greatest crime there is around here. There is no greater crime around here than stealing food from my wife. I want it as wherever it is the Metal Arc handbook exists, where we start writing the rules as we learn where rules are needed. If you steal food from my wife, that's the greatest crime.
I have some rules as well, though, and one of them is if it was food for Valerie. Now, I love Valerie, okay? But know what? First off, none of those cupcake trays had her name on it. And secondly, no one announced to the group, hey, there are 6 over here, and those are for Valerie.
I think
those
it's
are for Dan's wife. Because had she said that, Dan, I got to be honest, no one would have taken her cupcakes. Who's going to do that?
Agreed. Well, Bruce.
True.
And,
Yeah.
and I
If
do
he's not sleeping.
I do believe, though, based on, because you guys are leaving out some important context, and these things are always important in criminal trials, like the details, the facts, the context. There is one place my assistant sits with all of her stuff.
It's a shared space, though.
It was
I mean,
clearly in the space where my assistant was. Now, Jessica and her legal help are saying correctly that she is saying that that's where her food gets set aside as well.
Which is true.
So that, again, but still criminal behavior. That there's an explanation for the criminal behavior does not change that it is theft.
To me, this feels like a bad labeling job. I feel like your assistant
Yep.
deserves a little blame here.
Yeah.
Like a 20% maybe. She could have made a note. I feel like if there's a note that says "Do not touch," Jessica doesn't touch it.
That's it's fair, but this is the part that you guys don't seem to understand. In general, everyone who comes in here and sees the way that our life is thinks you all are Wolverines. And Wolverines don't pay attention to notes because there have been sandwiches and other things here and money in a piggy bank. That I didn't have to put a note on saying, hey, don't steal this. This is money in a place where maybe you usually find money, a piggy bank, but it's not money for you. This is stolen money.
Seems like we're getting mad at Jess for a different crime, though. I think this frustration around the theft and the stealing is really more about the piggy bank and not about the cupcakes.
What I'm mad about,
Finders keepers,
ultimately, is we clearly have people around here who cannot be trusted. And once you steal from the piggy bank, everything becomes incriminating, even if you have a good explanation, because we've got a group of people we work with that we don't trust. What was the name of the player who stole Derek Jeter's glove? Some sort of Yankee prospect that did the single dumbest thing an athlete has done until he was topped by Jonte Porter. Who was it? It was Ruben. Was it Ruben Rivera?
I'm looking it up.
Is that Ruben Sierra?
No. He's right. Ruben Rivera.
Ruben Sierra would not have to steal anybody's glove. Ruben Sierra, for those of you who do not know, had a hit salsa album on top of being a muscular DH, and he did not need anybody's money, gloves, or merchandise.
If he wanted your glove, he'd just take your glove.
That's correct.
Right.
Put it on the
right
poll,
in front
please.
of your face.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. If Ruben Sierra wanted your glove, would he just take it from the shortstop while he was playing shortstop?
They said that Ruben Rivera, a lawyer speaking on condition of anonymity, said that Rivera took the equipment from Jeter's locker and sold it to a sports memorabilia agent.
How'd he play?
Scared Billy.
Finders keepers.
Unfortunately, while Jessica was away, we didn't discuss in any way what her punishment should be, what the larger punishment should be going forward, since we didn't have a rule in place as this happened, going forward for anyone who steals my wife's food. But Stugotz, we were denied last night. Sometimes the playoffs start, and like last season, if you have a team in the race, you feel like you're going to be eating ice cream for 2 months and not lactose intolerant dairy ice cream. Like you're going to have a good experience.
The good stuff.
Eating ice cream. And sometimes you feel like your playoff experience is just going to be the flavor of feces. And that's what last night was, where it's not just that Batum kills you. When you get exactly the game you needed from Philadelphia that was going to set up the perfect story. I don't want to watch Miami-Boston again. I wanted to watch Miami-New York.
Might be Chicago-Boston.
Correct. It might be, because Jimmy Butler, you will have the footage now. Go ahead and put up the footage of Jimmy Butler limping out of the arena last night. I thought Duncan Robinson was available last night. I was really frustrated just watching that their only offense is just going to be Tyler Hero shooting 33%. Because once Jimmy got hurt, and by the way, got hurt after having 5 steals. Had 5 steals.
He had some good steals after the injury, too.
Yeah, but that 5th steal, the one where he had the layup, that's where he seemed to really hurt his knee again after the first injury.
He was struggling.
Yeah,
he was really laboring out there, and you knew once he went in for halftime and had to sit for a minute, there was no way he was going to come back.
But for all the load management that has wrecked the interest in the regular season, you haven't gotten to the playoffs yet, and you got Butler, Embiid, and Giannis already done, already lessened, not done.
And Zion, too.
Yeah.
Already. You haven't even gotten to the off part of the playoffs. You're still in the in part. And Giannis off the court. Embiid probably shouldn't even be playing last night. Wouldn't have been playing, I don't think, if it's a regular season game.
He was great in the second half, though. I mean, he was.
He made,
for a guy that's hurt, 23 and 15.
There were 2 guys hurt late, and one of them won the game, and one of them didn't. Embiid made the passes and did the things, but he was not the MVP of the league last night. That was a diminished. That's as bad as he's going to play.
Nick Batum was.
Did we decide if it was a scream or a shout? Did we do that?
All eyes on us. I wanna scream and shout and let it.
That timing, comedically perfect by you, Chris Cody.
Can I put the Nicholas Batum game in a little perspective for us?
Sure.
Can you guys guess how many points he averaged this season?
Oh, no, they said it during the broadcast. Yeah.
5 points
he
averaged. You know how many times this season he scored double digits?
How many?
Guess. 82 games.
If he's averaging 5 a game, he wasn't even playing that much. In fact, listen, you didn't just lose last night to Philadelphia. You lost to Philadelphia playing Kyle Lowry, Batum,
Yeah.
and Kelly Oubre.
Seven times he scored double digits.
Another fun Batum stat, which is great, is 20 points in that game. The last time he scored 20 or more points, 8 years ago.
Right.
Against the Miami Heat in Game 1 of the playoffs for Charlotte.
I just want to reiterate one little thing.
Yeah.
He averaged 5 points. He hit 6 threes last night.
He's capable of that. He is. You left out
Not
Buddy
for 8
Hield.
years, though. He hasn't done it in 8 years.
I did leave out Buddy Hield. These are all players Stugotz discovered were still in the league last night. Are you guys aware?
Well, Hield, I thought, was with Sacramento. Batum, I thought he retired like 7 years ago.
Well, you stopped paying attention to Batum 2 teams ago. I think Hield had another stop.
Hield was in Indiana for 3 years.
Right.
He was?
Yes.
3 years.
Yes.
Wow.
But the best Hield stat is this one. Are you guys aware that yesterday was Buddy Hield's 85th game of the season? It was his 85th game of the season. Because of being traded, he played extra games. He went into that game having played 84
Bonus games.
I don't think anyone's ever done that before. I don't think that that's happened before, even with all the trades in the league. And
There
yes,
should be like a most games played award at the end of the season.
well, he would.
Like perfect attendance.
He got it. Right.
But for all of that, for all of the load management and everything else, you've still now got injury problems that make the East a lot easier for Boston.
You had to miss Lowry if you're a Heat fan. I mean, that's what he does.
That first quarter, it's like, okay, this is your answer for Jimmy. You're going to put Lowry on him.
Right.
He didn't do anything last game. The thing is, Lowry didn't do anything, Stu.
You
No,
look at
that's
the
not
box
true.
score, and you don't see a lot of stats. But you know what? You can't measure a man's heart and championship pedigree.
You know what? I saw a lot of
You
missed
can't.
threes. I saw a lot of air balls from him.
And he was +1. I mean,
Stugotz, did you watch the game last night?
I did. They won by 1. He was +1.
That's not what that means.
What?
That's the difference.
I'm just saying. Listen, he gets in people's way. He plays defense. He hustles. He makes countless winning plays. I'm telling you, the Heat regret it. If they had Lowry on their team last night, they win.
They
Where
did
was
throw-
Terry?
They did have him on the court in that final possession, and he did almost blow it. And he finally got the ball out.
They're moving on.
Speaking of blowing it, it's a tie game on the road you have to have. How about not a half-court violation?
Well, that was a foul.
That was a foul.
It just blatantly
Please,
was a foul.
please.
Nick Batum pushed him. Like, it is what it is. Tyler Hero didn't play well for the majority of that game. He was playing well in the final few minutes of that game. That possession was poorly executed, but it just blatantly obvious, and it's going to come out on the 2-minute report. Oh, sorry, we messed up. It was a foul, and
Right.
there's
Okay.
nothing you can do now. You had the ball
can
tied
do
with a minute
this,
left.
But in a one-point game, we could do this about a number
Yeah,
of
you could.
things. And one of the things we could do it about is, you know how infrequently the Heat lose at not making their free throws? They lose by 1 last night. They didn't make their free throws. The way they beat you is they don't turn the ball over. They steal it. They drag the game into an unpleasant watch so it doesn't feel anything like Chicago and Atlanta. They're ruining offensive basketball aggressively by playing fundamentally well. And when they get their free throws, they make them better than you, except last night when they did not.
2 things. Tyler Hero, sell the flop. Second thing, maybe learn how to flop from Embiid after this free throw, because I don't know what happened here. He like fell awkwardly and the broadcast they just blew by it.
Embiid flops as much as anyone in the league. I don't know. Blake Griffin retired yesterday, and he had that reputation for a long time, and James Harden had it for a long time.
He learned it from him, too.
Embiid on a technical free throw, though, falling to his knees because
The rare flop.
It's, you know what it is when you let that thing go, you feel like it's a little shorter or a little longer.
trying
You're
to
like,
will it
please,
in.
please
Yes.
go. Oh,
Yes.
okay, I went in.
Real hoopers know.
You will it in. Yeah.
Exactly right.
I mean, people surprised Batum can have that game or had that game last night. I'm sorry. Like, Batum is capable of having that game.
he hasn't had it in 8 years.
I don't care. Real hoopers know.
He's right about
Nicholas
that.
Batum can put up that game at any given moment.
Not in the last 8 years.
At any given moment.
Again, though, but in all of the given moments in the last 8 years,
He hasn't done it, but
Not-
last night
not-
he
He
did.
saved it.
not
Right.
He
one
could have
time.
done it, but he didn't do it. But he could have done it.
Right.
Sean says that Jimmy Butler is expected to be out multiple weeks for the MCL injury.
Oof.
I have a top 5 reasons the Heat lost if you guys want that.
Really?
Yeah.
Do not.
Thanks, Dan. Why am I here? What's my job? Aren't I here to talk about the Heat? Isn't that why I was hired?
No.
What am I here for?
I don't know.
Go sit in the penalty box.
Top 5.
You're to do that. Go to the
that.
penalty box.
Literally, I'm the only one who knows. God.
What you're the only one who knows. Go ahead and put up that tweet of all that Jeremy.
Ultimately, I was going to
Get
be right.
out!
I was going to be right.
Don't use another microphone. He was
I let you down there.
right.
Dan, I should have stopped him from using this microphone.
Yes,
I'm
you
sorry.
should have.
I'm sorry.
You have a sick form of justice.
Jeremy,
Sick application of justice. You know what would have never happened if we had a regular office and not an open concept? I would have never thought those cupcakes were for everyone because they would have been in Elise's desk in her cubicle. And instead, they were just in the middle of the office on a table.
Fair.
go sit in the penalty box.
Oh, man.
Criminal. You know what I should do to you? Go sit in the penalty box, Cupcake.
Oh.
Do you work for the Indy Star?
That thing.
We'll get to Greg Doyle in a second.
Jeez.
Greg Doyle of the Indianapolis Star started the press conference and the welcome of Caitlin Clark kind of the way the Heat started the postseason.
Lecherous?
The worst possible, the worst possible way. But let me read Jeremy Taché. Am I not here for my Heat analysis? He writes before the game, Tyler Hero is going to do the thing this postseason. I could feel it in my bones, and how poetic that would be.
He did the thing, all right.
He was not terrible last night.
9 of 27.
9 of 27.
He hit some shots down the stretch.
They asked
though.
a
He
lot
did.
of him late.
Yeah.
I just think yes, he was inefficient slightly, but I'm not going to criticize Tyler
It's not
Hero.
slightly inefficient, Chris. Like the modern age of basketball, Kobe White scoring 42 last night is impressive. More impressive is doing it on 15 for 21 and
Yes.
doing it efficiently. There are some DeJounte Murray got 44 points earlier this season on 44 shots. That's not a good game. It's just simply any coach in the league or assistant coach in the league will say that if you hold a guy to a point per shot, you have done your job defensively. And Tyler Hero last night had more shots than points. That is not that he can get 27 shots and miss 2/3 of them is not a good basketball game.
I'm just saying I don't think he's the reason to criticize the Heat. Jimmy got hurt, and if Jimmy's not hurt, that game's different. Tyler played well in that fourth quarter. I'm not going to argue. You can't argue he was efficient.
He hit a couple shots.
He was clutch late in that game. I'm not going to criticize
hit
him.
some shots.
I could criticize Bam more than him.
But also, handling the ball, he was all over the place. Getting around screens, he couldn't. Like, there was a moment where Nick Batum was on him like a glove.
Oh, no,
he couldn't get around Nick Batum, who's played 9,000 years in the NBA.
Tony said he could get around Nick Batum.
I could get around
earlier
Nick Batum
today.
on a screen.
That's
I believe
insane.
it.
What?
Yeah.
He did say that.
Yeah,
And
Tony
we're going to
said
let that guy talk about it.
That guy, buddy, I haven't seen you touch a basketball in 15 years. Get out of here. See
That's
ya.
how we do basketball analysis? Really? That's it?
You said you got hired here to talk
Yes.
Heat basketball, and Dan
Yes.
kicked you out.
Yeah, because that's become the bit of the show. Let's make fun of Jeremy for everything he says.
That's the bit, huh?
Go ahead and sit up.
See
Go,
ya,
go,
yeah.
go,
Oh,
Good.
man.
go again, please. Thank you.
Anyways, long story short is that if you're going to play point guard, you have to control the ball and you have to play well handling the ball. There was no other point guard for the Miami Heat. That was it. It was Tyler, and then he had to also put up shots. It's an impossible spot for him to try and do something, but also he played kind of like a whatever game.
I do agree that we've learned what Tyler is. He's below Maxey. Like, he's not an elite star.
Chris, you're right. He hit some big shots down the stretch of the game last night when they needed them because Jimmy Butler was hurt.
I'm just not blaming him for that loss, is what I'm saying.
We can sit here after they lose by a point and criticize whatever it is that you want. They lost by a point. What I'm telling you is they went on the road to play a game that would have made their path easier, and they lost it when defensively they got Philadelphia to play exactly the game they needed them to play. Philadelphia was terrible in that first half, turning the ball over again and again. Embiid being hurt, I'm telling you, I've watched Embiid a lot over the last 4 seasons. It's rare, even now, for me to watch a LeBron game, for example, and see the age on him. I could see it on defense. I could see it sometimes how he moves in terms of lumbering, but it can still be hard to discern age even on the oldest player in the league. It was not hard to discern injury on this. The MVP of the league was limited yesterday. The MVP of the league, who has a distinct advantage over Bam that very few have, maybe Jokic, very few have, did not take Bam into the post and abuse him, did not take advantage of the foul trouble that Bam was in, got himself into foul trouble. That was not one of the best players in the league last night. At the end of the game, he had the stat line. But that's not how Joel Embiid plays. It's the game you need him to play when you're going to eliminate him from the playoffs.
I think actually the way Embiid had to play last night because of being limited, he was at the top of the key a lot. It brought Bam out. It actually hurt the Heat. It opened things up. They were driving, kicking stuff out. Like, I actually think that
Chris,
actually ended up backfiring.
Nick Nurse made that adjustment at half. He did. He talked about it after the game.
I know. I understand the adjustment, but the Heat will tell you, fine with your adjustment. Someone other than Embiid is going to beat us? Go ahead, Nicholas Batum. Go ahead. We'll take our chances with someone other than Maxey or Embiid. And it's what happened. Like, yes, you're absolutely right. Pulling Bam out of the key, getting him into foul trouble. Bam was not effective last night.
No.
And he deserves more criticism than Tyler Hero because he's the centerpiece of everything they do defensively. But they were good defensively last night. And, of course, Nick Nurse is going to have to make adjustments. And if Embiid and Maxey don't beat you, if I tell you before that game, here's the Heat's game plan. Embiid and Maxey are not going to be what beats them. You're like, okay, sign me up. I'm the biggest underdog in all the play-in games.
The Heat win, yeah.
Philadelphia's won 8 straight. They look great when Embiid looks healthy. They look great. They look like somebody who could actually challenge Boston, even though they've had no success against Boston. But not with him limping around, not with him clearly diminished. That's where we're going to start the playoffs with that team. And the other thing that you had an emotionally fragile franchise ready to fold for you. Their crowd was booing them in the first quarter. They've won 8 straight. That's the part that's just maddening. So blame everybody. Go ahead and blame everybody. The Shams report, because there are some details in here that we did not talk about. It's not just the expectation that Miami's Jimmy Butler will be out multiple weeks, according to sources. Shams is saying that he played the final 3 quarters with what is now feared to be an MCL injury. So go ahead and put up on the screen the horrified look of Alonzo Mourning and Pat Riley as they saw Jimmy Butler go down before the playoffs, and they gasped. And all the other people around them are still, the Sixer fans, they're still buoyant, and they'll forever remember Caleb Martin for turning that game around by missing 2 free throws and getting free chicken for everybody.
Got the crowd into the game, Dan.
He did. What are they? Were the Heat up by 11 at that point?
It was either 11 or 9. I'll go look specifically.
Yeah.
They were up 11.
They were up, and Caleb Martin missed 2 free throws, and everything after that was all glorious Nicholas Batum.
Uncle Mo. Momentum shifter right there, Dano.
Yep.
On the fried chicken.
Yes.
Clearly on the fried chicken.
Great promotion. Great timing.
They were up 11.
Yeah. That
7 minutes left in the third.
And again,
pivotal point in the game.
Again, a minute left. You're tied on the road and backcourt violation.
I mean, Caleb finally gave that crowd something to cheer about. They were booing, as you stated, in the first quarter. Why? Because Philadelphia. That's why. But then Caleb Martin finally gave them some positive news. Free chicken. Who doesn't love free chicken?
I'd like to just revisit with the group for just a second. Vegans and vegetarians.
Oh.
And anybody who cares about how chickens are generally treated and processed.
And it was Chick-fil-A sponsoring, so it's a whole other element.
But I do just simply want to put in front of everybody how fragile a state you're in organizationally when you're known for having your best player only because you famously lost on purpose to collect a bunch of first-round picks, none of whom panned out, some of whom flamed out. Multiple first-round picks flame out with mental short-circuiting. Markelle Fultz and Ben Simmons. Mm-hmm. Multiple first-round picks. The one you have still standing from your collection of just being terrible for a long time, so terrible that the league had to step in and remove your general manager and put a Colangelo in so that you could get to the expectations of where you were when Dr. J and Allen Iverson played there in a town that's so hostile that in the first quarter, your home fans are booing you because you're playing so terrible, throwing the ball away again and again, and Jimmy Butler's got 5 steals because you're playing so sloppy, as Stugotz tells you how well Kyle Lowry played.
He did.
Stugotz, you could not have been watching Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry gave every Heat fan the reminder of that's why he's not with us anymore, and that's why I didn't like that he was here at the end.
+1, 1 point game.
That's why he's one of the most unpopular players in Heat history and one of the worst signings in Heat history. That was supposed to be a big 4 that was playing in Miami, and everyone immediately turned on Kyle Lowry. But the greater point I'm making to you is that everyone wants to think that the Boston Celtics, that their only fatal flaw is that they're emotionally fragile, that they have mental weakness. Charles Barkley will say it. This organization has that. This organization was ready to crumble last night. And then free chicken arrived.
Yep, Chick-fil-A.
And it made everything better.
It's an actual nightmare. Like, the idea that Chick-fil-A is what did this is just, it's unfathomable.
Well,
Doing the Lord's work.
Caleb Martin is the person who did this. I mean, blame him. You want someone to blame today, blame Caleb.
It's a long list.
I prefer to blame Chick-fil-A.
It's a long list. Go ahead and just keep in the corner for me, please, of the screen, just the look of Zoe and Pat Riley on behalf of the entirety of the fan base. I think the greatest facial look that we've played in the last hour is Billy's, followed by Jess's, followed by Elise's, in terms of just facial despair, readings, being able to read what somebody's face is saying without a word being exchanged. We have had a party of great facial features. I am now ready, Jeremy, for your top 5 reasons that the Miami Heat lost last night.
All right. OLI, the non-call on the backcourt violation. It's got to be on there. It's OLI.
It's playoff basketball, though. Like, it's going to be a physical game.
It's going to come out on the 2 minute.
Jeremy and I are not sitting here saying that's why they lost.
That's why it's OLI.
But it was a bad call. Like, can we just all agree it could have been called better, that play?
I would not agree with that.
Okay.
In the last minute of games, I would like the players to be allowed to play and don't be so sloppy near the half-court line. Like, you don't allow a player to be in a position to push you into losing.
Can we make some sort of wager if it's on the 2-minute report or not?
Sure.
If they admit that it
Free
was
chicken.
a no call?
Anytime that's by the baseline, they call that foul.
They call that foul.
Like, it is when the half-court line is a baseline.
Kelly Oubre had the same defense against Tyler Hero. He went to the sideline and then got bailed out with that call. Like, they were not going to call it again.
Number 5.
Bam's 2 early fouls. It changed the whole game. Bam Adebayo has historically defended Joel Embiid actually pretty well, despite giving up the size advantage and not being able to go one-on-one, exposing the zone that actually worked earlier and earlier in the game than they wanted to deploy it is kind of what messed everything up with the rotation.
Yeah, so we can blame this entire game on Tony Brothers then.
Yeah. Be clear on something I am saying about Bam and Joel Embiid. Bam defends everyone well, and no one defends Joel Embiid well. There is no such thing. So Joel Embiid gets whatever he wants against everybody, but Bam is one of the best defenders in the league. And I would say that in terms of guys, and you can look this up for me, who give Bam problems without having looked up the numbers, Jokic and Embiid would be the physical types, I would imagine, that would be able to get him into foul trouble.
Jeremy, you say that, but they were up 12 at half.
But they
were up 12 at half.
There's a difference, though, in the full length of the game, right? Because that zone defense with that array of players helped to shut things down. But by playing that zone defense for such a huge chunk of the first half, it gave Nick Nurse an opportunity to adjust, put Joel Embiid at the top of the key, and not have that as sort of a secret weapon you could bring out in the second half from having played Bam one-on-one against Joel Embiid as much as you did. The Heat don't have an overwhelming offense, so the way that they get by is with their defense, and by having to use that zone as early as they did, with as deep as they had to go in the rotation, that's what kind of messed things up long-term. Number 4, no Terry Rozier or Duncan Robinson. Tyler Hero had to take 27 shots. He was the entire offense for them. Late in the game, that worked out. Tyler's a great player in the final few minutes of the game, but he was so inefficient at the beginning. Jimmy Butler being hurt, which we'll get to, obviously made it so that now not only were you without playoff Jimmy, you're without Terry Rozier.
I'd like you to be more efficient.
You're without Duncan Robinson.
Yep.
I'd like you to be more
Shorten
efficient.
it up.
Number 3, the French. And guess what? That gives us time for a mini top 5 inside this top 5. Number 5, reasons to hate the French. Number 5, Jean Valjean was given 19 years in prison for stealing bread.
Sounds like someone I know.
Number 4, they can eat nothing but brie and bread and are still in better shape than the rest of us. Number 3, Boris Diaw. Number 2, they have more sex than anyone, 137 times a year. I mean, and number 1, Nick Batum.
Boris Diaw isn't hated.
What he did to the Heat.
Beloved.
Get him out of here.
He's
He's
a
great.
roly-poly heavy basketball
Love that
player.
guy.
Those are always allowed to be beloved, no matter
Yeah.
what they do to your favorite team.
Number 2, Jimmy Butler's injury.
Now we're back to reasons the Heat lost.
Yeah, we're back to reasons that he lost.
Who's John Valjean?
137 times.
2, 4, 6, 0, 1.
I
Put
couldn't do it.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. What, have sex 137 times a year?
No, I could not do that.
How many Sundays are there in a year?
Put it on the poll.
I'm rusty.
At Le Batard Show. So's your penis. At Le Batard Show.
Hey!
Do the French eat nothing but brie and are in better shape than us? Yes or no?
That's the cigarettes.
I must be French. Tony, fist me.
And number 1,
Fist me.
free chicken. Look, I consider myself to be a pretty great ally to the LGBTQ community. I hate Chick-fil-A more today than I ever have.
Speaking of which, I see now that Emeritus is NBA refs are going to have to wear the Emeritus
Emirates?
Emirates, excuse me, advertising, even though Dubai and that region of the country or that region of the world is less friendly there than any. That's a bad spot for your LBGT referees to be in. Went to your most progressive leagues where they have to wear that as advertising. Stugotz, are you watching how much coverage is going out on the story that inside Bill Belichick's failed job hunt that ESPN is doing?
Yeah, it's crazy because, well, first off, Belichick, who's now going to do McAfee, and he's going to join him for the draft, and Billy and I have a draft party, and we're not certain what to do now because they have Belichick, and I'm thinking we get Steve Belichick. I don't know what to do. I'm worried about that.
You're worried? Well, McAfee's draft party every year is like 500,000 people are watching, so you're competing against that draft party, which is going to have Bill Belichick signed on to do stuff, and you don't know what you're going to do as your counter-programming?
I'd like to do our draft party, if possible, Dan. Maybe we can look into this here at Metalark at McAfee's draft party. I want to be inside his draft party doing our draft party. But anyway, back to Belichick.
But you'll be in Michigan.
That's a good point.
We're also efforting to have Brady on ours.
Really? Okay.
Tom?
Yeah,
We didn't specify.
we're efforting.
A Brady.
A Tom Brady. I'm assuming.
Love a good effort.
Robert Kraft should be ashamed of himself. I'm serious. I mean, the way he is smearing Bill Belichick after he left New England with that documentary, with this report, another deep dive by Seth Wickersham, he should be ashamed of himself. Bill Belichick has raised the value of his franchise exponentially. He has won him 6 Super Bowls. He has made that lousy organization one of the marquee organizations in the NFL. And I don't understand what Robert Kraft is doing, calling Arthur Blank, and he should be ashamed of himself as well, because Arthur Blank, make your own decisions. What the hell are you doing? You're going to let Bob Kraft impact who you're going to hire at head coach? Get the hell out of here. Your organization is lousy. It will always be lousy. You'll never be good. And Bob Kraft, the only reason your organization is good is because of Bill Belichick. He deserves better.
Who took the cupcakes?
Elise is insane with rage right now. The cupcakes were clearly stolen. Security is going to be summoned. Elise has said 7 times that she left the cupcakes over there, and now we have a thief in our midst. And Frankie's going to go to security and find out who stole the guava gluten-free cupcake. If any of you are made to feel better by the fact that now I've gotten reports that it was indeed several screams from Elise in the other room.
Wow.
She screams at me that way too, so don't feel too bad about that.
Are you telling me not to feel bad that I got screamed at?
I'm just telling you that she also screams at me that way, and I didn't steal my wife's cupcakes.
She's scrappy, huh?
Scrappy.
My wife has written here something just for clarification
Ooh, a
purposes. I don't know if it's a statement.
It's a statement if it was written.
Well, what is it? An update? Statement?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't trying to classify. I was just saying that she had written something, and then it became
She just
a
sent a
statement.
text? I
And
mean,
yes.
that's-
It's discovery.
An official statement.
It's discovery, Dan.
Is
We
this
got to
an
see
affidavit or?
Seems like evidence of some sort.
I'm just saying that she's written something here.
Tony's still on the case.
Tony.
No, I've moved from detective to lawyer now, so I'm just trying to make sure that my clients are already set up.
It's a great character. The detective who still tries to solve the case after the confession is
There's a lot of false confessions out there, Dan. I don't know if you know that or not.
This dude's Matlock over
It's
here.
riddled with false confessions. Prisons are.
He's the
Very
official
innocent.
lawyer of the Slow Report.
It's not a false confession.
For the record, okay, the cupcakes I got weren't the cupcakes I wanted. I wanted the guava. Jessica ate the guava.
One guava.
And she says the only reason you guys had cupcakes is because 3 days early, I had the idea to get everybody cupcakes.
Huh.
How do you feel, Jess? Feel good about yourself?
I mean, I feel fine. I ate one cupcake. She could have had the other cupcake.
Yeah.
I would have I would have said, I'm so sorry. I ate one cupcake. Here's the other cupcake. Valerie can still have her guava cupcake. But I was too busy getting screamed at, so there was no resolution.
Well, she screams at Dan,
unfortunately.
too. I mean,
Yes, and I
Well,
feel like you were
apparently.
too busy with your mouth full of cupcake. I believe
The cupcake was long gone by the time this all happened.
They were
the
delicious.
Cupcake was, I mean,
Yeah.
How was it, by the way? It was good?
It wasn't that good. I'm not gonna lie.
wow.
I mean, it's gluten-free and vegan. How good can it be?
Agreed.
It was fine. It was
You
a
said
fine
it.
cupcake.
I've
I've got 2 here, Dan. I don't know what these are. I don't know if you want to bring these home, maybe. I
There
can't.
were other cupcakes and
They have a hint of guava to them, but they don't have the coloring
They
of
don't look
guava, so I don't know
guava.
100%.
Do they say
are.
gluten-free on them?
Yeah, they say gluten-free. That's about it. Just
Oh,
gluten-free.
Jeremy's saying that all the cupcakes
yeah,
in this
we
building
went over
yesterday
this
were
in the
That's
local
what I've heard.
hour.
Okay.
There were
all
other
gluten-free.
gluten-free cupcakes.
Just the flavoring is what got Jess screamed at.
That's right, because the guava was stolen. I want to continue the conversation. It's still stealing.
Yes, but she could have still had a cupcake, but I was being screamed at, so I just went, okay, I'm going to go back in the studio, diffuse the situation, leave the room.
And here the situation still is lingering like a
And
bad
whose fault is
smell
that?
in a bathroom. Well, your fault because you stole
You
something.
started the segment with a statement.
But you stole something.
We
The
could have
fault-
moved on to
the,
something
the
else.
starting point on all of this is the thievery. That's where it all started.
In Jess's defense, Valerie ordered the cupcakes. She could have said, hey, set 6 aside for me with my name on them. I mean,
Right,
I don't want to get in trouble with
you
Valerie.
have
Valerie, I love
because
you.
you have thieves there. She could have done all of that. You're
Yeah.
right, as the Thursday morning quarterback, or she could have just had her assistant put it in the space where her assistant always sits, so that nobody would steal food that's not theirs.
Right. So who are we blaming here?
Well, it's Jess. Jess is the criminal.
Whose assistant is she?
Je-
Because you say hers, but yours. Who's?
Jess is the
Confusing.
criminal here. There are no other criminals. There was one thing stolen, only one, but there was something stolen. But I want to circle back around on what Bob Kraft is trying to steal after the fact from Bill Belichick, because what is happening now is a whole lot of players are coming forth and defending the honor of Bill Belichick. They know how hard it is to win stuff like this in that league and to be that kind of dominant. And I think that they have an appreciation for the fact that he did it in a disciplined way that was kind of joyless, but was obviously successful. And I think people lose sight of the fact sometimes, because we're talking about this one all the time, Stugotz. The people who watch football always want the player to have the kind of boss that they themselves would not want to have. It seems like Bill Belichick made even winning miserable. It seemed like everything around there was very joyless, and so except when they won. And Pat Riley's talked about the fact there's winning and there's misery. If you're this obsessive compulsive about something like this, if you're this crazy about it, sometimes, Clay Thompson gave voice to this recently, when you're climbing up the mountain, you forget to have the joyous moments along the climb because you're always so busy making sure no one's catching up to you. You're always terrified when there are other competing people that someone else is doing the dick things, the mean things, the disciplined things that you're not doing, especially in that sport where it's been assumed forever that the muscle needs leading. The muscle, all of those muscular bodies need the discipline of 1,000 coaches on the sidelines to get their strength right, their nutrition right, their off-field habits right, all of it right. And it's oppressive. They were better at it than anybody. They were darker at it, the dark arts. They were better at them than anybody. And now, Bill Belichick is looking for a job, though. And after giving Bob Kraft 20 years of success in that relationship, he's giving honest answers when fellow owners are asking him questions. And the reporting on Wickersham and Van Natta is basically, and Jeremy Fowler, is basically that Kraft is bleep blocking Belichick, like keeping him from getting other jobs, telling Arthur Blank, you can't trust Belichick. And when the partnership is between owner and coach that way, and you're only getting this sliver of reporting, what you're not getting is Kraft telling him, hey, this is what he did to me on Garoppolo. This is he's giving him all the good stuff on what Belichick did to not be trustworthy. It's such a damning indictment for someone who, when he was with you for 2 decades, you were winning titles a third of the time, to say you don't trust him, to call somebody and tell them you don't trust this person.
You trusted him for 20 years.
But but you don't trust him anymore. You're saying, to make that phone call is fairly extraordinary. And if you were watching that documentary on Apple, was it called Dynasty? On Apple, if you were watching that documentary in 10 parts, you saw that by the end of it, it just skewers Belichick, that all the bad stuff ended up being blamed on him.
Honestly, I feel like, and this is no disrespect to Seth and Don Van Natta for the story, Natta. I don't know why I'm doing this.
You got it.
With his name. I feel like I would have been really intrigued by this 3 years ago, but I mean, they've been such a disaster that I've just, as a fan, I'm happy to watch the dynasty crumble, and this is what happens when dynasties crumble. People just have bad blood.
I am intrigued, though, by Bob Kraft trying to block Bill Belichick from getting a head coaching job, and the fact that Arthur Blank would actually listen to Bob Kraft.
Yeah,
and not just hire the coach he wants to hire.
To me, it undercuts all of the Patriots, what Bob Kraft is doing. I would just want people to think that we're all good. Going out and talking crap about the guy that built everything, helped build everything for you. It just it undercuts everything. It makes the whole dynasty seem lesser.
I've been trying to think, why would Kraft do this? And the only reason I'm left to come up with is Brady. Is that he feels, because we know that Kraft loved Brady, right? That he feels like they got rid of Brady too soon, and then Brady went on, and it was embarrassing, to win a Super Bowl the next season at Tampa Bay.
Nobody likes the person that leaves a job and then goes to another job and talks crap about their former boss or former employees or former people that they work with. It's just a bad look. It looks like I'm just so full of myself that I need to be the person.
But he's not the employee.
To give direction.
He's
here.
like the boss talking shit about employees.
That's even worse.
That's what I mean. To your point, that is worse.
Yes.
An employee being disgruntled is kind of normal. The boss, and you guys had so much success. Nobody had more success than you guys.
I know.
It's just,
I don't
It's great
get
to
this.
watch. It's hilarious.
Well, this is why, though, I don't think anything makes the dynasty lesser. There is no thing that can make it lesser just because it's too much winning for anything to actually damage it. But to Jessica's point of thinking this was more interesting 3 years ago, and she's not wrong, we're tired of a lot of the Patriots coverage, and that documentary hasn't resonated because we've gotten so much coverage about that team. But the part to me that makes this reopened interesting is the greatest coach of our lifetimes in any sport had to do multiple interviews for a laughingstock franchise and was left jobless when he wanted to coach. I want to know the explanation for that. And part of the explanation is that his owner is undermining him. Look at Adnan Virk feeling and looking liberated from the anchor of weight that is usually David Sampson during this segment. David Sampson is not here. He is very busy traveling to what is an expanding tour, a tour that is going all over the United States, that is now going to more and more cities.
The tour hits Pittsburgh tonight.
It does. You have a booger in your right nostril.
So does Clooney.
You might want to take care of that since this is televised. Adnan Virk has the entire floor to himself here, so there's plenty to talk about, and we can show off some of Adnan's hockey knowledge. So if between Leafs and Bruins and Panthers Lightning, which one of those do you most prefer to talk about?
Let's do Panthers Lightning first, Dan. Let's pander to your audience naturally. I think it's going to be fascinating watching this goalie matchup because Vasilevsky for years has been one of the best goalies in the sport, but his numbers this year not as strong. A .900 save percentage, around .260 goals against, whereas Sergei Bobrovsky was better, quite frankly, .915 save percentage, .237 goals against. You know, I think this matchup is great because both teams are awfully skilled up front, but they can be stout defensively if need be. I don't expect fire wagon hockey. I don't expect 5-4. I expect close games, and I hope the Panthers can emerge victorious. But I think it's going to be a very exciting series, not only for the Sunshine State, but for all of us hockey fans.
I think the other thing you have to look at, too, is the special team situation because the Panthers led the league in penalty minutes, and they were second in the league in power play opportunities for their opponents. And the Lightning were the best in the league in the power play, so that's something else you got to look at.
Absolutely, Roy. But I always find it fascinating, as you know as well as I do, how much the referees put away the whistles come playoff time. So special teams can often be critical, of course. If there's a big 5-on-3 in the third period, who isn't going to be excited about that? But I oftentimes, as you know, a lot more clutching, a lot more holding, grabbing, the refs will get away with. So perhaps a team that is often penalized can skate by come second season.
I don't know if I can give you two straight hockey questions without sprinkling in some other stuff before losing the people who don't have any interest in Panthers hockey.
Fair point, Dan.
So, Jeremy, can you read, Adnan, some of Brian Cox's quotes? Brian Cox, for those of you who do not know, has been an actor for a ton of time, a long time, a classically trained actor, thespian, and most famous for being Logan Roy in Succession. And he does something that I just never see actors do. He's called Johnny Depp overrated, but he's taken out recently here Joaquin Phoenix on Napoleon. What are the quotes there, Jeremy, to read to Adnan?
So he said of Joaquin Phoenix in Napoleon, terrible. It's terrible. A truly terrible performance by Joaquin Phoenix. It really is appalling. I don't know what he was thinking. I think it's totally his fault, and I don't think Ridley Scott helps him. I would have played it a lot better than Joaquin Phoenix, I tell you that. You could say it's good drama. No, it's lies. And then continued, I think he's well named. Joaquin, wacky. It's sort of a wacky performance.
How rare is that for an actor to put his name on that?
Exceptionally rare, Dan. I love Brian Cox because he gives 0 Fs. And, you know, he's been a great actor for a long time. People will know Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. He played Hannibal Lecter way back in Manhunter, the great Michael Mann movie back in 1986. So he's been an excellent actor for a long time, Rob Roy, etc. He really obviously found his second home and second win with Succession and for notoriety for all. But yeah, actors normally stick together. They're a fraternity. If somebody feels that way, they might espouse that privately. To say so publicly is both funny and unique. And I love everything that Brian Cox stands for.
I need to know if anyone has actually seen Napoleon because my understanding is it didn't do very well in the box office. So Brian Cox could be right about this.
Jess, I'm one of the few that actually liked it. You're right. It did not do well at the box office. It did not do well with critics. I actually found it enjoyable. And part of it is that I think it's meant to be kitschy and a little bit silly at times.
Wacky,
I think that's what Cox is.
Was it wacky?
I'm sorry?
Wacky Joaquin? Like what? what he
I wouldn't
said.
say he's wacky. I'll give you, I don't want to be vulgar, but he's like a really horny guy. So there's one scene where Vanessa Kirby's his wife, she's in the bed, and rather than like seduce her, he just starts whirring like a motor. And he starts like tapping his
Like
foot.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah, either you're going to say, oh, this guy's very impatient and funny and using nonverbal communication to have sex, or you're going to say this is a bad performance and an actor hamming it up and whacking Joaquin. Clearly, Brian Cox picked the latter.
It just seems like he's a hater. He's like, Dan, what's the story you always tell of like, I looked everywhere and the best person for the job? Me.
Yeah. Sour grapes. Dude. Yeah.
That was Dolphins.
Joe Bailey.
Yeah, Joe Bailey. He was searching for a new COO of the Dolphins and searched all over the globe and found it in the bathroom mirror. The best candidate was in the bathroom mirror.
But that quote means nothing, right, Adnan? Because he's not really criticizing the performance. He's saying, I wanted that role.
Yeah, and that's the key, Stu, is he brought the hammer down at the end. Because everything else, he could just be, a learned critic, maybe someone who really knows a lot about Napoleon Bonaparte and is just being passionate. But he's like, he made clear it was not Ridley Scott's fault. It was not impugning him. It's clearly on the actor because I'm the better actor, which, by the way, I think he is right.
But he did criticize the performance. He criticized it wasn't just that he wanted the job. He was pretty critical of the job that was done. And furthermore, I would say Joaquin Phoenix is one of those people that if he makes a movie, I'm going to watch it because he makes good choices and he's an exceptional athlete, exceptional actor. It's strange to have him take out someone of that.
Brian Cox is the athlete.
Yes, thank you. It's strange to see a situation where not only you're taking out another actor, but an actor of this pedigree. Jeremy, what else did Brian Cox have to say?
Braveheart is a load of nonsense. Mel Gibson was wonderful, but it's a load of lies. He never impregnated the French princess. It's a bollocks, that film.
All right, that's fine. That's tame for Brian Cox.
Later called critics stupid. He said they're all stupid because theater criticism's gone right down.
He would have
the
done better there
tubes.
on that one.
He also said that method acting is also bollocks. Nonsense. They're transmitters of energy.
Talking about Jeremy Strong there.
Exactly. Roy's right. So on set, Brian Cox is the type, show up, learn new lines, and go. And Jeremy Strong is like, give me a minute, let me get in a character. And it's like, oh my God, this method acting nonsense. So he said, listen, I respect Jeremy. I think he's a great actor, but it's not for me. I think it's a waste of time. Bollocks, as he would say.
Have you seen the 2-part Apple documentary on Steve Martin?
Steve Martin also. I thought it was, listen, the second half is outstanding, Dan. The first half I actually thought was a little pedantic. It's mainly just showcasing Steve Martin at the height of his stand-up career, and it's all B-roll. You don't actually see any talking head. You'll see voice of Jerry Seinfeld, voice of Steve Martin at the bottom of the script, but it's essentially him doing that wild and crazy guy and, well, excuse me, and King Tut arrow through his head. And I got to be honest, I know it was a cultural phenomenon. I know he sold out the way Fleetwood Mac would sell at stadiums, but I didn't find the humor particularly funny. To me, it's rather dated, unlike the way a Richard Pryor or George Carlin, their humor still stands up. But the second part I thought was fascinating. That was Steve Martin today, showing his life, his wife, his complicated relationship with his father, as so many relationships of artists and fathers are. His relationship with Marty Short, of course, I love him, Canadian legend, what he's been able to do with his movies, Parenthood, LA Story. Wish there was more on Bowfinger. Sadly, no Eddie Murphy interview. We needed more on Bowfinger. He tells a wonderful story with the late John Candy. We love planes, trains, and automobiles, so I'd recommend it, Dan. It's very good on Apple Plus.
You love the second one where he cooks a poached egg.
Yeah, he said, I can only cook one thing. And it was actually 2 things, 2 poached eggs. And you see him in detail cooking poached eggs, and he's laughing, saying, how fascinating is this going to be in the documentary where people watch me cook and then eat breakfast? But he's a man of simple tastes, but actually I shouldn't say simple taste. He has very expensive, exotic taste. He loves art. He's a massive art collector. He said when Marty Short first met him, they were working on Three Amigos. He walked in his house, he was beside himself. That's a Picasso, that's this. He goes, I've seen your movies. How can you afford this? Like, he was astonished that Steve Martin is renowned art collector, but he's got a real fine eye for that kind of thing.
You mentioned Bowfinger. I think it's among Eddie Murphy's best performances.
Oh my God.
What do you believe to be Eddie Murphy's greatest performance?
I think it's impossible to top Coming to America, Dan, and certainly 48 Hours has a lot of fans and Trading Places. But I'm with you on Bowfinger being top 5. I think it's criminally underrated because he's able to play that character of Jiff so well. The braces, the shyness, the laughing, the squeamish behavior. He's so excitable around Heather Graham. And then, of course, the other character, which is the one who's being seduced by Terrence Stamp, and is clearly a shot at Scientology. And the dual performances are great. And I think Martin's hilarious. That last shot when he says, my whole life, maybe one day the FedEx guy will come and give me a package. The way it's shot in slow motion, I was falling out of my chair in the theater. I love that movie.
What is your top 5 list that now has some room on it because David Sampson is not here and you can actually expound on some things for once?
So I can't believe David's not here. I'm thrilled. But honestly, Dan, it's a mystery. We're not exactly sure where he is. So in honor of Sampson's curious disappearance, we're doing the top 5 mystery movies in cinematic history.
All right, he's in Pittsburgh. Everybody, it's as part of the tour. He's in Pittsburgh. But let's go ahead and do top 5 movie mysteries. Number 5.
The Maltese Falcon. Listen, Bogart at his best. I know you're going to quibble and say this is a film from a different era.
Bogart at his best.
He could be anywhere, really.
This is, quote the film, the stuff that dreams are made of. A great film noir, detective thriller, mystery movie. The Maltese Falcon. Dial it up. Everyone loves it.
Number 4.
The Usual Suspects. So successful was the ad campaign. They simply had the words, "Who is Kaiser Soze?" And people were obviously entranced by this concept and what exactly it was all about. And we don't want to give it away, do we? 1995, spoiler alert. But amazing cast, of course, from start to finish, and especially that final reveal. It's a great mystery that really comes undone at the right time and does so beautifully.
Number 3.
Number 3 is The Sixth Sense. I See Dead People. Yeah. I mean, Haley Joel Osment's career, one might argue, has been like a cadaver ever since. But he was amazing in this movie. Of course, Bruce Willis showing his dramatic chops. And the arrival of M. Night Shyamalan, this filmmaker from Philadelphia who revered Hitchcock, clearly was inspired by those types of mysteries and thrillers. It still holds. It still bangs from today.
Number 2.
Memento. Christopher Nolan, I mean, what an incredible conceit for a movie. We're going to go backwards, forwards. We're going to slip in some black and white and color. Everyone keeps talking about Oppenheimer, this behemoth that won 7 Academy Awards and made almost $1 billion. Memento is a great mystery, a great psychological thriller. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor. It's incredible.
Yes or no, better than Oppenheimer? It seems like you were tempted to do it, but you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't quite go
right there.
You were a bit of a coward. You wanted to do it, and you failed.
Better than Oppenheimer, Dan. I will not be
Just say it next time. I mean,
put it on the poll. Is Memento better than Oppenheimer? Number 1.
Number 1. What's in the box? What's in the box? 7.
So good.
I mean, as dark and gruesome as it gets, it's not necessarily a fun one for the whole family because it's grim and unrelenting. But I think it's a brilliant thriller, brilliant mystery movie. What's in the box? Great work from everybody, including Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt, and director Brad Fincher.
I saw a good documentary the other day about the history of The Exorcist. I did not know the movie The Exorcist. I did not know a ton of things about that. And one of the things that I did not know is
Billy Friedkin slapping the priest.
He loves slapping people.
Yeah.
One of the things that I did not know is that The Exorcist initially did not classify as a horror movie. Was not ever made as a horror movie.
Which is crazy to think about, Dan, because there's literally scenes of a woman stabbing herself in her private area with a crucifix and, saying things about Jesus that we won't repeat here. I mean, just think to a moment like, oh, this is like a light comedy walk in the park. Like, no, this is a horrific film. And by the way, that image from the movie is amazing. I mean, that's one of the most haunting images ever.
You nailed the dismount. That you edited yourself on what it is that you were saying, on what it is she was saying, but you left in the part of what she did with the crucifix.
Gave you just enough, Dan, but left a little left to the imagination.
Man, did we bail on hockey early?
Yeah, we did. Leafs Bruins, final thoughts.
Bruins dominate the regular season series 4-0. Toronto hasn't won a cup since 67. That drought will continue. I think the Bruins win in 6. It's been fun.
What are the thoughts of the group here? We've got Anthony Chang writing that Jimmy Butler's MRI is scheduled for 3:30 today, for those wondering. And Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald is coming after Shams by saying one national insider wants to jump ahead on the story because that's what they try to do and could ultimately end up right if the MRI breaks in the writer's favor. But the beat writers are on top of it. While there's obvious concern, there's no MRI yet, and thus no diagnosis yet.
Wow. I love Spicy Barry. Just taking people out, man.
That's why Barry made it to the Elite 8 of the Heat Twitter bracket that Chris Cody showed me today. That did not have Mike Ryan on it, curiously, despite the fact that he told us yesterday he invented Heat Twitter.
Got a lot of messages from people saying Mike Ryan has nothing to do with Heat Twitter.
Wait. He said what?
He claimed to basically invent Heat Twitter and also me.
I think he invented saying Heat and 5 too.
No, that was me. Yeah.
Again, though, Barry Jackson is writing and could ultimately end up right if the MRI breaks in the writer's favor. So now you've got the visual image of Shams being like, yes, wait, I need this injury to be real. I don't think that Shams...
He's going to Jeff Galooly, Jimmy Butler, so that it's real.
Do we think that Shams gets a lot of this stuff wrong and is guessing? Like, I don't know. This stuff seems, this particular one, where you're reporting something before, and most of this information comes from agents, okay? I don't know if this particular one does, but the insiders traffic a great deal in the information provided by sports agents, which is often very good. But on an injury, I don't very often have someone like Shams being so eager to get ahead that he gets it wrong.
In fairness to Shams, he said his report was he's getting an MRI. The speculation is he'll be out for a few weeks.
And that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you do it if you're on the side where you're trying to get there first, is you can kind of hedge with the expectation and it's feared to be and all of those things that come. That doesn't mean that he'll be wrong, and he might very well have the information, but I can understand why the local writers who were getting information probably directly from the team about, hey, this is when this is all scheduled for, so it hasn't been done yet, would be saying that's a bit jumping the gun.
If Barry's mad for Shams being reckless, he would have been mad at me after seeing the replay being like, he's fine. He just banged knees. Do you guys do that ever with injuries like that? Because I always, with these with basketball players, there are times where they not sell stuff, but just, Dwayne Wade he would go down and he'd lay there for like 5 minutes and everyone would be terrified and he'd pop right back up and be fine.
Both Mike Schur and Mike Ryan last night were texting about how Jimmy was faking the whole thing.
That's what I mean. So you have to you always do that as a fan of you're being a doctor. And in the replay, you see the knees bang. So there was no clear you know what I mean?
He fell on him.
Yeah, so you're just like, oh, it's just a bang injury. He's fine. And then he's not, so I feel bad. Because I was right away. I was like, he's fine. Don't worry about this.
I don't ever do stuff like that because I don't understand how Giannis won the championship the year that he won the championship, because my immediate diagnosis from his reaction was he's broken and might not ever play again. Like that. That is not going to be able to come back in a couple of days. I don't know why you would bother doing that, except you just want your hope to not ruin the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Did it last night with my Bulls and Alex Caruso, which, by the way, another bull-on-bull injury happening after last week's dunk situation, and then Andre Drummond twisted his ankle. Last night, Andre Drummond ran into Alex Caruso. Caruso would have probably been the person to guard Jimmy Butler in the play-in game tomorrow night. Now both of them are probably going to be out. What a disaster.
That's a win for the Bulls, though.
Drummond needs to be stopped, by the way. What's happening here?
That's good
We need
analysis.
to investigate him. What's happening?
Even though Caruso is an excellent perimeter defender.
He's great. It's very sad.
Yeah, but Stugotz just out there. Stugotz wanted to give you some form of analysis. You have to understand, every sentence that is placed in front of Stugotz is something where he has to have a take on. And so his take there is that Jimmy Butler is better than Alex Caruso.
Yeah.
A winning take for Stugotz. Indisputably so. So since you like to have takes on these things, on yesterday's show, I began with something that we didn't chew on much after that, which is Kendrick Perkins accused Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley of, on the Michael Kay show, not watching Knicks games at all. He's saying it's obvious they're not watching the Knicks. The only time they're watching the Knicks is when it's on the TNT Game of the Week. And I will tell you, Stugotz, that I don't think a lot of people know what I'm about to say, which is the single most successful and popular sports studio show in the history of sports studio shows. The generation of players who are Kendrick Perkins are really tired of Barkley and Shaq from on high having all of the weight and power of opinions to batter today's game. Even though it's the most popular sports studio show of all time, we're going to talk to Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson about that, because I believe a lot of people, I've heard a lot of players their age who are eager for the sport to be analyzed by others as opposed to the ones who have had the most power, earned the most power for the longest time.
It's their job to give opinions on the games they're watching, on the topics within the NBA, and on the state of the game today as compared to, when it was or what it was when they played. So I have no issue with those guys having...
The first sentence you said is important. It's their job.
It's their job.
The games they're watching. The part that you said that's important is... Well, wait.
No, Dan, we've had people, myself included, by the way, comment on games they'd never watched a second of.
No, and Stugotz,
throughout the history of time, Dan.
You always want people to have the rights that you yourself want to have. You always fall on the side of why shouldn't they be allowed to not watch the games? And I would argue that in the case of those two guys, they're there to be Shaq and Barkley. You're not paying them necessarily to watch the games. You're paying them to be Shaq and Barkley. But the job tends to be watch the games. Kendrick Perkins has to watch the games. Like you saying, I comment on that. People are getting awfully pissed off, rightly, that have been around women's basketball for a long time, because a whole lot of people are getting here now, and the only way we can talk about it is ratings and interest and stuff, because we haven't been watching the games. And the people who have watched the games expect the people who are paid to analyze it to show it the same kind of respect in how it is that they talk about it. It's not an unfair criticism. Kendrick Perkins, you can say here, is going to end up on the losing side of this argument because of how good Shaq and Barkley are, and that show is at being Shaq and Barkley. But his criticism can also be valid inside of that. There aren't many people who get away with giving analysis on television that's the most powerful platform that can be accused credibly of not watching the games.
That platform is powerful because of Charles Barkley, because of Kenny Smith, and because of Ernie Johnson. They built that thing. They provided themselves with the biggest platform in the sport. But what is Kendrick Perkins doing? Like, I have no idea if he's watched every Knick game. What is he, taking attendance? Like, honestly.
Oh, no, but Stugotz, there are a couple of things here. One, it's often obvious in the analysis. And two, Shaq and Barkley are really busy with lives, with giant lives that might not have them at 60 years old in Barkley's case, devouring NBA League Pass on a Tuesday night that he's not working.
But you need to watch every single Knick game to come up with the opinion that, hey, Boston's better. The Knicks aren't going to go far in the playoffs. They're without Julius Randle. You don't need to watch every Knick game to say that. That's ludicrous, Dan.
No, it's not that, Stugotz. Is that you expect a level of expertise from the people who are analyzing the games you care about. And when the discussion points by the generalists are often, who's the pressure on more, as opposed
who's the pressure on,
as opposed to the technical aspects of the sport that make the Knicks fans around here furious because they say it's obvious in Stephen A. Smith's analysis that he's being a Knicks fan publicly, but that he's not watching as many of the games as they are. Like, I don't blame people who are listening to analysis that they think is bad or against their team, demanding that analysis be informed by facts, research, expertise, or at the bare minimum, can you care enough to watch the games? I don't think that's an unreasonable criticism.
Yeah, I mean, Kendrick Perkins feels about these guys the way I feel about Mike Ryan. Like, he comes in here and acts like he knows things about the Heat, but he don't watch any of the games. So how can you possibly take that analysis seriously, including the prominent people on Heat Twitter who reached out yesterday and said, in 14 years, I've never once associated Mike Ryan with Heat Twitter.
He invented Heat Twitter. But, Dan, may I quickly just suggest we hear from someone who has been watching a lot of the Knick games. In fact, every Knick game.
Sub 500 seasons, it's been lonely. Now the best players on our side. Been losing and losing for much too long. But now we're back with New York pride. Jalen. You've got us on our feet, Jalen. We're gonna win the East, Jalen. Without Randall, we're still doing fine.
Oh, God.
Nailed it, man.
So bad. Could be a song about Jeremy Lin, too. We don't know.
Fine.
It sounds like Hotline to the End Zone, how bad that was.
That means you're going to have to find Heartline to the End Zone.
That's exactly why I brought it up.
Chris Cody. Let's get for the group here. I talked about this briefly the other day because the Rays have a reliever, Stugotz, Pete Fairbanks. This is another one of those human beings in baseball who throws 102 miles an hour and blows saves, and I don't understand how anyone ever makes contact on him. Everyone has one of these in their bullpen now. But Pete Fairbanks was complaining the other day about slippery balls, so I don't know.
Hey, yo.
I don't know whether this is that clip, which blown save he's reacting to. This one looks like the one that I saw a week ago. So let's hear what he had to say. He wanted the writer to put in capital letters and underline something.
Pete, just can you kind of run through what was going on in the ninth inning? It looked like maybe you didn't like some of the balls that were coming in.
Yeah, they were horrible. You can mark that down, all caps for me. Horrible. No excuse, though. Didn't throw strikes, and that's what happens when you don't throw strikes. You get punished for it. So I'd love to see those come out of the humidor tomorrow in a little better shape before they get rubbed up. But, it's nobody to blame but myself for not being able to adjust to some of the quality issues.
Dry or not smooth, or what was the issue?
There was just overall bad. I'm not going to elaborate further than that. They were not uniform from ball to ball, so there's no, dry, smooth, whatever you want to say. Just non-uniform, didn't feel right.
Just make it tough for you to grip and kind of get the ball where you want it to go?
Yeah, it's tough to throw your slider when the ball goes that way out of your hand. So
He wears his hat poorly. It's hard to wear a hat like that. What are you shaking your head?
No, that's a good move. That's when you've had your hat on for a long time. You actually take it off the back and just kind of sit it on top like that for relaxing it. Yeah, no, that's a vet move right there.
Yeah, let your head breathe.
He has a booger.
So does Clooney.
Let's play the other sound from Fairbanks. I guess this is from last night.
Was it just a matter of command, location, selection, anything specific?
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck. So, we're going to try and rectify that. But for right now, I'm going to be pretty pissed about it.
That's great. Where has this guy been?
All around suck.
Tony, if you saw him pitch, like it's all elbows and teeth, and then something gets spit out at 102 miles an hour.
That gets hit.
It's just, yes, that somehow doesn't have the command that it needs to. And I'm always expecting at the end of Rays games, well, this will be three guys easily out because, again, it's a consortium. It's a syndicate of elbows and knees. And what gets belched out from the elbows and knees and teeth is 102 miles an hour.
He doesn't even have a full windup. He's got like a football throw.
Let's play for that again. For those of you that aren't watching and are just doing this with audio, that pause is coming from a man who has a pompadour of red hair that's disheveled in a way that suggests he's given up 3 runs and 3 hits in one inning.
Like Conan O'Brien.
Yes, and that pause is him thinking about how to answer this before giving the perfect answer.
Was it just a matter of command, location, selection, anything specific?
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck. So, we're going to try and rectify that. But for right now, I'm going to be pretty pissed about it.
That's right. It's time for Thursday Thunder, and it is sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Tony.
All right, this parlay was cooked up by the one and only Juju Gotti for our Thursday Thunder. We will start on the diamond. Dan, I know love baseball. We got the San Francisco Giants against the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight. 9:45 first pitch. We're going to take the Giants on the money line.
Who's pitching? Are they a favorite?
Great question. I don't know.
Oh, come on, man.
No. I'm saying I don't know. I don't know who it is, but Juju does, which is why he picked the San Francisco Giants. Not only that, we're gonna sprinkle in a little something else. I know it's a pitcher's duel, though. You know how I know that?
Because he took the under.
Second leg of our parlay, under half a run for the first inning. Pitcher's duel.
We have Logan Webb versus Ryan Nelson. Logan Webb pitching for the Giants.
Pitcher's duel tonight. I told you that.
I hate betting unders.
I know.
The worst.
It's just the first inning, though.
You're rooting for nothing to happen, though.
Well, the reason, and I know that the numbers get a little bit inflated because most people don't like betting unders, but you do understand why it is that the under is so unappetizing when if there's a lot of scoring early, you're doomed. But if you're betting the over and there is no scoring early, you can still have a comeback late. Whereas with an under, you can be done in the fourth inning and your bet's over.
But I hear you, Dan. But anytime I take an over, it is 1-0 in the seventh.
It's also like if nothing happens, then it's a little treat. It's like, oh, well, I watched it and it was boring, but I won.
Yeah. All right, last leg of the parlay. We're going to hoops. We got the Sacramento Kings against the New Orleans Pelicans. No Zion, by the way. So who's got to step up? Herbert Jones. We're going to take him over 11.5 wins.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Every time you bet the over, is it 1-0 in the seventh inning? At Le Batard Show. Also, some people are reacting now to our heat analysis so far, and some people are getting upset and writing in to us. No one deserves blame for the Heat loss last night. This is insane.
Really?
You idiot.
You fool.
No blame. Everybody's good.
Talk.
Okay, this is sports radio.
It's an all-encompassing suck. You
Classic
don't
sports
understand.
radio.
You don't understand. What do you mean no one gets blamed? What are we going to do? Come in here and just steal each other's cupcakes? Like, look at each other and not say anything?
This goes against everything I stand for.
No, Dan, that's my favorite criticism of the show sometimes is when people are like, they're wrong about this. The actual reality is this very neutral opinion. And I'm like, yeah, but that'd be a pretty boring show.
That's why you do what you do, and we do what we do.
Exactly.
Whoa, dork.
I do think it is fair to say this part. If the star players are on both teams are injured, you're going on the road to try and win a road playoff game. Your second best player is in foul trouble. That's a hard game to win against a team that's won 8 in a row and is probably the second most talented team the third most talented team in the East.
That is fair, but when you don't win the game, you blame someone.
Without your starting backcourt and leaning on a guy who came back like 6 games ago.
Well, you blame somebody if you're the Miami microphones and you're frustrated by what happened. But if you're Philadelphia, which was booing in the first quarter, and again in the third when Tobias Harris missed a shot.
Right.
Late in the third, I think, they were booing Tobias Harris. When you're Philadelphia, it is, you mentioned it earlier in the show here, I know Joel Embiid gets a lot of credit for always being injured. I know Joel Embiid gets a lot of blame for always being injured. He gets a lot of blame for always being eliminated early when he's out there trying to play in a mask and he's not himself. But at the end of that game, there were 2 players that were clearly injured, and one of them was more injured. He's going in for an MRI today, but he was less effective than the other one who was injured. And if you're in Philadelphia and you're a haunted franchise that's been dysfunctional for a while, you and had Ben Simmons and that ordeal, you can look at what Joel Embiid did and said, nobody deserves blame here. Perhaps I'd like to give him some credit that at the end of the game, he ended up winning the game because the offense was moving through him. He was limited, and he made both the shots, the free throws, and the passes to control the end of that game.
What is this credit thing you speak of? What are you talking? And in Philadelphia?
Oh, especially in Philadelphia.
Get out of here.
We all know it was the chicken.
Philadelphia ends up putting itself in a position to break the heart of New York and have the easier path when they've got the injured superstar than the one they would have against Boston.
No doubt. But as a Knicks fan, I can tell you I wanted Philadelphia. I didn't want the Heat. I want Embiid. I want him a little banged up. I don't like Tobias Harris. I think the Knicks win that one in 5.
Knicks in 5.
Coming from the maker of Tiger Woods will win the Masters.
That was a flyer, Dan.
Look at this liberal woke turd out here doing charitable things for other people. He's in the middle, Stugotz, of his annual charity bowl, and he is doing something not everyone is doing, in that every donation goes to help New American Pathways. And what I'm about to tell you, it's a refugee resettlement organization in Atlanta. EDSBSCharityBowl.com is where you go. And it's real easy, actually. Our audience is very good about this. Just text the word Charity Bowl 24. Charity Bowl and the number 24. Make it one word to the number 91999. Our audience is very good about supporting the causes around here. I think I've made that too complicated. Charity Bowl 24.
I just called 911.
Charity Bowl 24.
That's
one
word, yes.
The text number is 91999.
Text Charity Bowl 24 to 91999.
But
That's 3 9s.
I have a lot to get to with Spencer.
Well, 4 technically.
But there's a 1 after the first one.
Yes, all of
Do
this.
I have to put 1 before the number?
All of this can be easier, I
The
think.
plus.
But why are you doing this, Spencer? Just explain the cause, please.
It is to support refugee resettlement here in Atlanta. If you don't know, the refugees we take in as part of our agreements with our international partners, they end up in American towns and cities, and there are agencies there that are helping them become successful new Americans and get them off to a better start in their new home, our great country, this land, the United States. And Atlanta is one of them. I used to work in that community and long ago in a former career that I was not very good at. So this is kind of my way of my apologia of just point people to this and say, please give them money, which they have for the better part of over a decade.
So it's like charity bowl. Is like a bowl game. What are we doing with the bowl? Is there anything? Okay.
So glad you asked that. You guys are doing this better than I do it. Okay. An effective, oiled charity fundraising machine, the Le Batard Show. What you're going to do is you're going to give an important number, a number that means something to you in terms of your team, particularly in terms of a rivalry. One of my favorites is to donate, 52-24 or 52-20, which is the score from the 1997 Sugar Bowl when Florida blew out Florida State. Yeah, I got to go a long way back to find a happy number for Florida football, but I do it anyway. Might give $2,008 this week in honor of our last ancient national title. I'll dust it off for this week. That's happy. You pick a number that matters to your team, and that is what you donate. Post it publicly, rub someone else's nose in it, and then hopefully they respond in kind.
You should go for some smaller numbers, I mean, just...
You know what? That is a valid point.
Thank
it
you.
could be 2008. It could be, listen, you could do a number you could even do a middling receivers numbers. If you got a guy who's got like 438 yards, a $4.38 yard donation is as welcome as a 438.
You're basically you're saying make sports jokes and razz your friends and speak the language of sports intimacy, where you insult your friends and you do a nice thing for a good cause. EDSBSCharityBowl.com, or you just type in the number, Stugotz. It's easy. 91999. And you text the word, one word, Charity Bowl and the number 24.
Yes.
That could all be easier, Spencer, but thank you for the work that you're doing. I want to explain to the audience here, because we did this earlier in the week, and I want to bring it to you. I want you to tell me what you think this sound is that we're about to play for you.
All right. Gonna get it one more time. That sounds like a goat being shot into space.
He's right.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with goat astronaut.
It is Mike Tyson sprinting.
I thought it was Stugotz saying superfluous.
Dan, when was the last time you sprinted? Like you're over 50 now.
I am
correct?
55. I'm going to say I sprinted 2 years ago.
Okay. It didn't feel good, did it?
No, it did not. No.
Yeah.
Sprinting on the beach, but I did not make that noise. And
you would have.
Well,
if you'd been going as hard as Mike, yeah, you're going to make a weird noise.
Somebody's writing in here. I was walking down a long, dark hallway, and Le Batard Show played the Mike Tyson running sound out of nowhere. I had a heart attack. Can you?
By the way, bold move making fun of Mike Tyson for anything. If I don't know for sure that man isn't behind me, I'm on camera and I still don't trust it, I'm not saying a damn thing about that man.
It's hard.
Not word one.
It's hard to explain. I think an entire generation of people are going to arrive at 57-year-old Mike Tyson, see something sad there instead of what you and I see there, which is someone to be feared throughout eternity.
Forever. Absolutely forever. If you want to look up the craziest thing in the world, go on YouTube and search Mike Tyson versus Mitch Blood Green. That's right. A boxer named Mitch Blood Green, who was at one point, I believe, an actual street gang leader. And it's scary because Mike doesn't knock him out. Mike just beats him up. And it's worse than a lot of his knockouts because by the third or fourth round, you're like, I just wish this man would go down for his own safety and his own good, because he eats some of the worst shots you will ever hear. I didn't say see, I said hear. They're horrifying.
I believe that he fought Mitch Blood Green outside of a haberdashery at 4 a.m. in Harlem.
He did. He jumped out of a limo that Walter Berry was in.
Mm-hmm. Two-part fight. Once in the ring, once in the street.
Yeah.
But he's 57.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't care. He could be 75. Reverse it. That man's gonna whoop my butt at any age. Make whatever noises you want. Okay. I don't care. I can't believe that man is going to lose to a Paul brother, because there's no way this fight's will be up and up. There's absolutely no way.
And not if he loses, correct?
Taking a dive?
If Tyson loses, it is all fixed.
I can't see. Have you seen the sparring videos? I know.
That's reckless.
A lot of people are formulating their takes based off of what they've seen Mike Tyson do and these most recent sparring videos, but I can assure you the odds makers have kind of investigated this one, and there's a reason why Jake Paul is minus 500. He's minus 500, and you're out here saying microphones that Mike Tyson's going to kill him. Him is a minus 500 favorite.
Yeah,
it's all mythology fear, and it's me ignoring and Spencer ignoring 57.
That's a big difference. 57 versus a dude that's in his 20s in his athletic prime.
He bit a man's ear off.
That man is not Mike Tyson. I don't care. I watched that man take people's heads off as a child. It does not matter.
I am going to start a fight in here by pointing out to Spencer Hall that according to tax documents obtained by USA Today, Miami paid out $22.7 million in total compensation to Mario Cristobal in 2022, the largest single-year payment to an athletics employee at any private university ever on record.
$5 million per win.
Yeah, $5 million a win. I hope that they made that an ACH deposit and not a check, because with his clock management skills, he's never getting to the bank on time. It's just going to sit there.
He's too busy in the portal.
Yeah.
Hey. It should be noted that that includes the buyout and taxes, and the key phrase there is private institution, because what Miami is doing right now is actually spending as the public schools do, because I guarantee you, if you were to compare that to some of the compensation in the public schools, it doesn't make quite the aggregate easy story that it's become.
Yeah, no, I'm starting the rumor, by the way, that Miami is a public institution. We're just going to call it that, just to infuriate them on top of everything else. I'll be like, well, it's part of the Florida universities, the state system. Come on. Yeah, Mario Cristobal, by the way, perfect example. They need to keep him on for like 10 years because they will get a national title accidentally, right? They will Kirby Smart this. They will just say, you might be smarter than us. You might coach better, but eventually I will stack them so high that we can't fail.
Oh.
All right.
And your mouth to God's ears, pal.
All right, that's it. Just don't fire your guy, okay? Like, say whatever you want. I don't care. If Mario's listening, okay, you may not be the brightest bulb, okay, but if you stay on long enough, you're going to draw enough moths. That's how it's going to work. Okay.
That's the plan, bud. That is the plan.
Recruit, become too big to fail. That's it. Honestly, you want to know what Michigan did? Like, Michigan just kept Harbaugh on. They could have fired him. They could have gone for the next shiny thing. But that man said, I'm going to recruit 310-pound linemen who are mean as hell. And one day we're going to bust through that wall. We might only do it once, and then I'll jump ship and go take the Chargers job. But yeah, we're going to do it. That's what Miami should do. That's my approach with Florida. Florida, are we good right now? No. Do I think Billy Napier is a good coach? No. Is he recruiting pretty well? Yeah. How long am I willing to stick with it? I don't know. How long have I got? I'm probably going to be alive for another 25 years. It'll happen eventually. Just keep him on.
Any thoughts? Because your music commentary is usually pretty high end. Any thoughts? I don't know whether you enter the fray on rap beef or not, whether you feel comfortable in your position to talk about most recent hip hop beef, or you want to sit that out?
No. I'm messy, so I'll enter the fray. First of all, Drake is boring. Drake has always been boring. Drake lives and dies off his producers. Drake has never said an interesting thing. Quote me a Drake bar that matters. Not one. Not at all. Oh, that's interesting. You have trust issues with women. Oh, wow. You did it all yourself. That's every Drake song. I did it all for my team, and I hate women. That's it. That's it. His entire oeuvre, his entire work, his body of work is just that. I don't find him interesting. Do you want to say he can rap? Yeah, he can rap. Do I find the character of Drake interesting? Not at all. Does he have good production? Yes. I hope he pays them a lot because they're the reason he's successful. I will never be interested in a Drake rap beef ever, because he's lost it from step one because I don't find him compelling. Is it hilarious that he's currently getting dragged by Rick Ross, a noted fabulist and liar, even on the rap curve of I am lying about the things I am saying about? Yeah, it's awesome. Will it matter? No. The kids love Drake. The kids absolutely love Drake. They will buy whatever he puts out. So none of this will matter, and none of this will be a better diss track than Pusha T's on Drake. None. Pusha T ended that for me. I do not know if you can ever construct a better diss track than the one.
But for everybody, everyone says that was the end of all of it, that none of those guys can come back from that. But Kendrick Lamar is somebody that I think is universally regarded as everyone loves good writing.
But not everyone loves good writing. I will tell you this. The teens do not care about in what I have been told by both my son and his peers. We don't care for those old wordy rappers. Okay. That's it. We don't care about them words, which I respect deeply. As somebody who kind of is lyrics are overrated. I'm convinced an entire generation of baby boomers and lead poisoning really led to them thinking Bob Dylan was smart. Yeah. I don't care about words. I don't care about words at all. Okay. It's vibes. They want vibe-based rappers.
It's vibes. I saw Lil Uzi perform at Coachella, and he said 7 words the entire time to his own music. Yeah. It's just vibes.
It's just, listen, they just want a good vibe. Does it go? And I respect that, honestly, right? I am a Kendrick Lamar fan. I like Kendrick Lamar. But if you come to me and go, yeah, but did you listen to his words? I'm half the time, maybe. It's got to have a good beat. It's got to sound good in my car. It's kind of got to either want to make me fight or cry. And then if it doesn't do either of those, I'm not real interested.
Does he want to sit it out? It's his wheelhouse, man.
Are your thoughts that J. Cole shouldn't have sat it out?
J. Cole should always sit it out. J. Cole can sit it out for the next decade. I am joining fellow sports writer Shea Serrano in the J. Cole and Somanex. That's a great way to go to sleep.
You got nothing for him, Tony?
It just sounds like a hater, respectfully.
Yeah. Having an opinion, an informed opinion
of hating everybody is not an opinion, though. Spencer's I don't like this guy. He sucks. This guy sucks. I go to sleep to this guy.
I like Pusha T. I do not care for J. Cole. This is having a stance. If you invoke the word hater, by the way, you've automatically lost because we're no longer arguing on the merits. I've been shuffled into a bin, a category, as opposed to saying
like a Drake hater.
I am 100% a Drake hater.
Okay.
That's fine. I do not like him.
You brought the hater, not me.
I do not find him compelling. What is compelling about Drake? Find me one thing that is compelling about Drake. What story has he told? What beat is immortal? What bar would you drop and go, ooh, that's hard. Ooh, that's good. Nothing.
I just flipped the switch. Flip.
Ooh, no one's
He just
ever
flipped the
said that.
flitch.
No
He
one's
just
ever
flipped the
done
flitch.
that.
I misspoke. Drafting.
He misspoke.
He flipped a bitch.
Damn it.
That's a harder line than any Drake line.
Thank you.
Give him credit. He came out and did better writing than Drake or any of his ghostwriters.
Slip.
Again, I will
just slipped a
tell
fish.
you, edsbscharitybowl.com is where you go, and you can just text as one
Damn
word.
it.
One word. That hurts, doesn't it? Charity Bowl
DraftKings.
24 to the number 91999.
Is that one word? I wasn't clear.
It is one word. Charity Bowl and the number 24, all one word. And one more thing, just so that people understand, Spencer, because you are somebody who's doing work here that not everybody is doing, and our audience usually does pretty strong in these areas when they believe in the humanity of a cause. Why is this the heartfelt one for you? Because you said you worked with these people, and I'm guessing somewhere in there you saw where help was needed.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where these are people who have been through a tremendous amount. This country is a country of immigrants. And I think one of the most important tenets across any kind of ethos, religion, or belief system is hospitality towards a stranger. That's it. That the first thing that you should say to them is welcome, and you should mean it, and that we should help people who are here because we have the resources to do that. Even if your resources are, by your own estimations, meager, that any amount of help or even volunteer work in your community makes an immense difference, particularly when everyone does it at once.
He's a liberal woke hater. He is Spencer Hall, everybody. Thank you. You can also support, it's one of the best podcasts going anywhere, co-host of Shutdown Fullcast. It is, I don't know which one he likes most, the football of Saturdays or the funny that Saturday produces. If you can only have one, you only get to choose one for the rest of your life. The content that Saturday produces or the games that they produce, which one do you choose? Love of football or the love of football or love of funny that Saturdays provide?
I will always take the football. I will always take the football because without that, there's not much to it.
He loves it so much, Stugotz, and he's doing it the old-fashioned way. So few people out there just love writing about the South and history through football. What a ridiculous path he has taken to caring about this dumb thing we do on Saturdays. Thank you, Spencer.
Thanks, y'all.
This is how fried my co-host is. He was just muttering before these guys came on. He was just muttering under his breath, talking to no one in particular.
It's almost 4:20, Dan.
He keeps saying, Stack's not a Spurs legend. Stack is not a Spurs legend.
I said that, yeah.
You did say that, but
I said it,
but
yeah.
So I'm just staring at him, and I'm staring at him, and he's waiting to see what my stare means, and eventually I say, do you think Jerry Stackhouse is coming on with Matt Barnes? And he's like, he's not. And I'm like, no, it's Steven Jackson. And he's like, well, why do they call him Stack?
And then I started to piece it together.
Right, very
ST,
slowly, it
right?
started dawning on him, the Steven and the Jackson. And then he's like, oh, yeah, he is a Spurs legend. It's okay, my bad. But Jerry Stackhouse is not joining us. Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson.
I had no idea your nickname was Stack,
Yes,
man. I'm sorry.
We'll get to the bottom of that in a second, but we are planning some special things this NBA postseason with our partners at All the Smoke Productions. You can expect someone from their crew on this show once a week. Amin's on Bully Ball Weekly. Matt Barnes is on right now with Pablo Torre Finds Out in today's episode. And we're going to have some live watch-alongs later in the playoffs on our YouTube channel. Be sure to check out All the Smoke Productions on YouTube and the DraftKings Network for all new episodes of All the Smoke every Thursday. Matt, you played for the Kings. The Kings knocked out the Warriors. The Warriors appear to be finished and dead. What is your summation of both emotionally, how you felt watching the Kings do that to them, and the finality of respecting something that for a decade changed the entire sport?
Yeah, I'll start with Golden State. We literally were just talking about this yesterday, and we feel that the dynasty is over. And will they keep the core together out of respect and tradition and for what they did for the game and each other in the organization? Or do they make moves to see how they can better this team in Steph's last handful of years? So from that standpoint, kind of sad, honestly, kind of sad to just see, kind of an end of a run. And then on the flip side for the Kings, I mean, a young and up-and-coming team, a very shorthanded team right now. Obviously, Kevin Huerter out with shoulder surgery. Malik Monk is out with the knee, so very shorthanded, but we're able to, capitalize and get themselves a chance to get into the playoffs as the 8th seed. So, a tough game against the Pelicans. Despite Zion being out, the Pelicans have had a lot of success against the Kings. So definitely hoping the Kings can pull that off and slide into that 8th seed.
Matt, what do you think Steph wants?
I don't know, man. It's hard to think. I know Steph loves Dre and Clay like brothers, and doesn't no one on the planet appreciates those two more than probably Steph. But I don't know. It's up in the air. I mean, I could see both sides. I could see them. Hey, let's ride off into the sunset together. We've had a great run, or do I want to try to compete? In my last few years. So it's really a tough call, and a lot's going to come down to Mike Dunleavy and that management to see what they do.
Stephen, what did you make of what looked like? Because I don't know why it's so hard for winning to be fun. Why Kevin Durant would leave there. I would think that for 8 years they would love crushing everybody, but it appeared recently that Steph was crying into his jersey when Draymond got ejected again. Can you sort of explain to us the volatility of relying on a furnace like that wins you championships, but is also clearly unreliable in spots, and there are times that you're going to feel like your trust is betrayed?
Yeah, and I know Steph feels like that. He's the biggest fan of Draymond. He talks so high about Draymond when people try to demean him when he makes this mistake. But I think at this point, he might not say it, but he's fed up too, because he's been doing everything right for so long. He's been carrying his team for so long. And now you're at the point now where Clay is not the player he needs to be. Draymond is still being the defensive player, the help guy. But when you don't have a guy like Clay or another guy like KD on their team to help him, it's a lot of frustration for Steph. So I can see him being frustrated right now and not having answers, because he don't want to say, I want to win and move on, because he's loyal to these guys. But then again, he's a winner and he wants to end his career on a good note. So I think it's a tough situation for him, but somebody has to make some tough decisions.
You guys were both good teammates and good leaders. You saw a lot of different ego-type conflict. Put yourselves in that locker room. How are either one of you handling Draymond?
I don't really think, and I mean, for someone who was in that locker room, I don't necessarily think it's handling Draymond. I just think it's Draymond as he continues to get older and has these mistakes that we're all allowed to make mistakes. We've all made mistakes, but his mistakes are starting to add up to major suspensions and missing games, and they're a much better team when he's on the floor. So I just think, I don't know necessarily if it's handling Draymond, because he is the leader of that locker room. He is the leader of that team. He is the heart and soul of that organization. Obviously Steph is the best player, but Draymond is the heart and soul. So, I mean, I think it's just respectful conversations that Steph may have with them or Clay or other guys like that. But I think at the end of the day, it's more self-awareness on Draymond's part. And I think personally, he's starting to see it. It may be a little too late for this core to reciprocate, him understanding his importance at this point, because like I said, I just kind of see with what they have now, I don't necessarily see them winning a championship unless they make a big move. But I think it's just more on Draymond. And I think as, someone who is friends with Draymond, I think he's starting to see that and really understanding that his actions not only hurt himself, but are really starting to hurt his team because he's missing games over them.
Not surprising that Matt would object to the verb handling on an adult human being. But Steph, would your analysis, Stephen, be any different on that, or would you have anything? Because you weren't afraid of a confrontation when leadership is required. But what happens when your leader is, creating? I think it's one of the great teammate crimes, which is just not being available for your guys because you can't be counted on.
Yeah, they don't have nobody to check Draymond besides him checking himself in that locker room. That's how I feel. When I was in Golden State, Al could check me, Matt could check me, I could check BD. Like, we had several guys to check each other in the locker room. I think Draymond the only one that holds that type of weight in that locker room. So, like Matt said, it's going to be Draymond checking Draymond, because at this point, to me personally, I think more frustration is going to come with Draymond because of his lack of production. He's not the stopper. He's not the big. He's just not the player he used to be. He's not as fast. He don't jump as high. So the less he produces in the game, the more frustration is gonna come out. And I think that's why you've been seeing it so much now.
Stugotz is. I'm sorry. I have to just stop you because Stugotz's eyes just lit up. He
Distracted,
He got very excited. What did you just notice?
Is someone rolling a blunt behind you guys? I mean, I'm jealous. I mean, I want to be with you guys.
So listen, there's a guy named David who has, what's your donut shop called?
Mr. Donuts.
Mr. Donuts out here in Colorado, and he saw that we were going to be out here, so he came and brought me and Jack like 6 dozen donuts, and he's like, man, I was hoping to smoke with you guys, and we're like, we're about to knock Dan's show out real quick, but as soon as we're done with Dan, we'll smoke with you. So shout out Dave and his donut shop. He brought us some donuts and some good eats, and then as soon as we're done, we're gonna light up with our guy.
He's doing some prep while the interview's going. That's great.
Swish a sweet backwood Dutch master. What do we got going on back there?
Chris Cody got more excited by the donuts.
Working for the wrong crew. You guys need a producer? You guys good?
Last night, the Miami Heat. I'm sorry, I did interrupt you, Matt. Did you want to continue?
I just wanted to add just real quick. I don't like that people are trying to take shots at Steph and Steph's leadership because of what Draymond is doing. And again, everyone is their own man, and sometimes you need to try to hold certain people accountable, but I don't think this is a knock on Steph's leadership or Steph as a teammate, or does Steph have control of the locker room. Again, Draymond is a unique person, a unique player. To really know Draymond is to love Draymond. And like I said, it's more self-awareness than anything, but I just don't like how people are trying to take shots at Steph's leadership over, Draymond's mishaps. So I just wanted to add that before we got out of that subject.
Well, I wanted to clarify and get some extrapolation from you guys on something. I think, Matt, that you revealed the story recently of Shaq doing something to Lou Admonson that I thought should have resulted in an immediate prison sentence. I believe it was on Paul George's podcast that you told the story of Shaq running around for a practice with Lou Admonson's mouth guard underneath or around his testicles. I'm not sure exactly where matters.
Doesn't matter.
But it's one. First of all, I can't imagine someone doing that to either one of you two. Okay, I cannot imagine someone having the literal sweaty balls to do that to you two. But that's not okay, guys. Like, there's nothing about that that's okay.
No, absolutely not at all. Absolutely not. There's nothing that okays that. But again, Shaq, you're talking about two big personalities. We go from Draymond to Shaq, and Shaq, 7 foot, 360 plus pounds. And at that time in Phoenix, obviously on the backside of his career, but I still credit one of the funnest seasons I've ever had just because he was in that locker room. And although he may have crossed the line at times by doing stuff like that and chasing people around naked, Shaq was just, again, one of those guys that really knew how to keep it light, no pun intended. And then also, obviously, when it was game time, it was time to go. But Shaq is just an incredible human, and he definitely did a few things to cross the line, that being one of them. But again, man,
Matt, I'm going to stop you right here, and I want the thoughts that are inside Steven's head because he's shaking his head. He's been shaking his head since I asked the question, and I think you're being very nice to Shaquille O'Neal. You're being very gentle with this. Again, prison sentence is what if I was on the
bit excessive.
It's not a bit excessive. It is not a bit excessive. If I was on a jury, I would say, Shaq, I know this isn't on the books anywhere, the rules, but if this is a criminal sentence, I want your thoughts, Stephen.
I mean, Shaq is big bro. We all love Shaq, but a line would have been drawn. Big fella, you running at me naked, and I ain't with all that. You get mad till we get ready. I'm going to go to the car and get something to even this fight out. Because I'm not going to be running from you while you're naked. I'm going to show you I'm serious, and you go play with somebody else.
Go play with somebody else.
What is the angriest you guys have ever been at a teammate? Or what's the angriest story you've ever heard as a reaction to a prank? I think I heard one time Kenyon Martin was really mad because they filled his car with popcorn, a brand new car, one of his teammates, and I'd heard that story. What is the teammate story that you guys have where you saw a teammate so angry that it actually escalated to the place that Steven's talking about, where he's going to his car to even things out?
I remember being in Indiana, and Danny Granger had just signed with the team. We had the veteran Darryl Armstrong on our team. And if you know Darryl Armstrong, he's a serious guy, black college. He takes basketball super serious. And he's a vet. So Danny Granger shows up to practice late. He comes in and Darryl Armstrong was like, "You're a rookie. You have to be here early." He told him to, to his private place. Darryl Armstrong got off the bike and went half court and maybe 2 steps and hit Danny with a Mike Tyson 21-year-old punch. And Danny was early for the rest of the season.
Just like that? Like just walked right up to him and just hit him.
If you know Darryl Armstrong, he don't play.
Different times. That was good. My story. I remember really my first NBA practice. I get drafted, I got cut, go to the G League, get called up by the Clippers. This is back in the Sterling era, practicing that South by Southwest where you had to leave the back door open so your car didn't get broken into. My very first practice, when I walk into practice, Quentin Richardson and Keon Dooling are in a real fist fight, like a real fist fight. Quentin Richardson's a big old bear. And obviously KD, was quick on his feet with a nice little jab. But my first NBA practice, I'm walking into 2 guys that were friends, and we're friends after that. But really, it just put them up and squared up, and we're really fighting. I was like, oh, this is what the NBA is about. I'm gonna be all right.
I've never understood that about your environment. I feel like in our environment, if any of us got into a fist fight, that would probably be the end of our relationship.
Facts. I agree. I've never had a fight with nobody I'm friends with.
I don't understand what it is about your environment. I remember Ray Allen talking about this one time.
It's competitive,
Well,
Dan.
yeah, but it's you also can't be in your feelings. Like it's just not. It's not a place that tolerates you being fragile about your feelings. And if there's a fight, I would think that's something that I would remember. I'd have a hard time working with that person later in the day.
Mm-hmm. I guarantee Kenyon Doolin and Quentin Richardson don't talk today.
Oh, probably not. But they was cool the rest of the season.
They was cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
They just got through the season.
That's what the rules were. I don't know if you guys. I'm getting some criticism here because I was critical of Bam Adebayo, and I was talking about the game last night. And Tyler Hero was taking all the shots, and Bam is a defensive player. He's the reason their defense is so good. But also, he had 0 free throws, and he took 9 shots in the game. He made 5 of them. You look through his game logs. There's not a lot that's that kind of meek over the course of the season, but there are reasons for it. So your analysis as you watched Heat and Sixers last night was what?
Tyler had to do a lot of scoring, and I really like Tyler Hero, but I think he's still on a mission to prove how good he is. I think he's been disrespected in the past and wanted to be mentioned in certain categories with certain caliber of players, and I really like his talent. But I think at times he needs someone to be like, hey, you got some teammates here, especially because Jimmy is a Swiss Army knife. I feel like the Heat are the best when Jimmy doesn't have to be the leading scorer. So that in tune, which makes me think, Tyler does have to step up, but at the same time, you definitely need production from Bam. He's very talented. Although he's a defensive-minded player, he's definitely someone that can give you 18 to 20 points. If I'm not mistaken, that's kind of around his average, 17, 18, 19 points. So as one of the best players on the team, I think it's somewhere you pull Tyler to the side during the game or even on the court and say, give me that damn ball, or, let's run a set to be able to utilize me, because although Embiid was, very impressive on the offensive end, we all saw he's not healthy and he can't really move. And I thought that Bam should have been able to try to, stretch him out a little bit and go by him. But like you said, to only get 9 attempts and no free throws, I don't think they were able to utilize Bam as much on the offensive end as they needed to last night.
Stephen, again, your disgust is clear on your face. Like you were watching last night disgusted.
I wear my emotions on my sleeve. They have a defensive identity. They don't have no offensive identity. And Tyler's great, but he's not ready. He's not ready to carry this team and be the number one guy for this team. To me, he doesn't have enough to his game to be the number one player. He's a great shooter. He's not strong, don't have a post-up game, not the best ball handler. So to be the number one guy, especially going this part of the season, he has to be better. I don't think he's ready. Jimmy, you have to step up. They don't expect you to score, but these are the times and the games where you have to play big. You can't take a step back. Bam Adebayo. Y'all don't have a point guard like Chris Paul or Rondo that's going to get you the ball when you don't get the ball 4 or 5 trips down. So you have to get the ball. Y'all don't have that point guard. Y'all don't have that identity as an offense to know where to go or get the ball to the guy who's rolling. They don't have that. First guy get across the half court, they shoot the ball. And that's how they played last night.
Steven, is Jalen Brunson ready?
Jalen Brunson is beyond ready.
Yeah?
Woof, 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 woof. Big dog.
Oh, I'm excited.
I had to come out and admit I was wrong, because I remember when he first got that contract, I didn't know, because I don't think any of us knew, to be honest, that he was
nobody.
The Knicks
didn't know.
I didn't say, I personally, I was like, I didn't think he was going to move the needle and put them over the hump and be, I ate my words, because he's been able to do that and more without Julius Randle. So I've been really happy for him. Great guy, great situation. And to think at the beginning, people had questions. Now I think he's underpaid. Definitely one of the best point guards in the game. It's going to be tough to see whether he lands on first or second team All NBA, but I think he's a lock for one of those slots. But very impressed with Jalen Brunson, what he's been able to do.
Is there anything that you question about the Celtics? Because I don't. I don't question anything about the Celtics, but people do.
I like him. I think this is the year you don't question him, and I think it's because of Drew Holiday. I think as solid as he is, when the team gets to going haywire and making a lot of mistakes, taking bad shots, I think Drew the guy that can pull them back in, get the ball to the right person, and get them going on defense. So I think if any year where they have the best chance, I think it's this year with Drew.
I think the X factor is Porzingis. I think he's a mismatch for bigs. And his availability has always been the question mark through his career, not necessarily his talent. So I think Porzingis is going to be huge. And just the fact is Jason Tatum really ready to make that step? I think he's one of the most talented players, and I think he gets knocked and discredited because he hasn't won a championship yet. He was there in the Eastern Finals as a rookie, lost to Golden State in the finals. So I think everyone's looking for Jason Tatum to really make that superstar step. And I think for that superstar step is winning a championship for his organization. So they've been the best team all season. And I love what Jack said about Holiday. I think Holiday was a huge, huge pickup on both sides of the ball, because he's someone that when there are lulls on the offensive end during the playoffs, he's someone can step up and hit a big shot. But I definitely think the key to this team is Porzingis and his ability to be out there, because when he's out there, he's a shot blocker and he's a mismatch on the offensive end.
Amin Al-Hassan, who was on Bully Ball with Rachel Nichols, he called Drew Holiday a corpse.
Whoops.
Yes, when he moved teams, at least in part, because Drew Holiday at the time, to be fair, had just been smoked by Jimmy Butler in the playoffs and was talking out loud about quitting. He was talking about retiring from the game. But give me a guy like Drew Holiday, just off the top of your head, both of you guys respected so much as a teammate that you might be in the middle of hot, angry. That person comes up to you, and now you're stepping back just because of the amount of respect you have for the person who's coming to you in that moment as a teammate, who has such credentials as a veteran and who does his job so professionally well that the respect makes you immediately say, you know what? I need to stand down here.
Well, in Golden State, I think for us, it was Jason Richardson. Jason Richardson was the guy with the even kill on our team. But the guy that I remember most was Steve Smith for me in San Antonio.
Oh, wow, that's old school. That's at the beginning, too, right? So you don't feel like you know much of anything about the league, and this is somebody I'm not going to say grew up watching, but
he showed up, gave me the ropes.
How about you, Matt?
I think Jay Rich was a great call. Someone who was kind of the face of the team before Barron got there and the rest of us got there, and someone who just went out and did his job every single night, didn't say a word about it, slam dunk contest, big score, but never was able to get over the hump. And I think he appreciated what they finally did by bringing us in some help. So I definitely think Jay Rich early on was someone who was very even keeled and kind of kept the pulse of the team, because he had the longest tenure there and he had the most to gain, from the team's success.
I'm going to throw this to the shipping container instead of them. What is the best of the donuts?
Oh, wow.
I mean, well, it's obvious.
It's a clear glaze.
Definitely
donut. Yeah,
jelly.
No,
Definitely jelly.
Original glazed donut.
Sugar-based jelly.
Donut.
Not powdered jelly.
Have you ever had a cronut?
Powdered.
Cronuts are incredible.
You
You
can
can
just
drive
through
through
and
and
you
go
go
get
get
your
your
own
own
donut.
donut.
Try it.
I used to go pick up a
original
dozen
glaze
donuts with my
and
mom after
cronut.
Christmas.
And then I
Cronut
get
jelly
jelly.
experience. I mean, it's
Grape
truly
jelly
the
is
best.
better
When you got the
than
red
strawberry
light
jelly
on,
in this
the red light is
They
on.
wanna
There's
go
nothing you
for
can do better
recess.
than that.
Matt, your thoughts?
That was a hell of a question you just asked. My favorite donut, and I just found a place in LA. I like the chocolate donut, but I also like the glazed bottom because most of the time it's just a regular cake and the chocolate is, but I found a place in LA that glazes the bottom and has the chocolate on top. I'm a real donut connoisseur, so that's my.
Steven, I don't. Steven's a careful eater. He doesn't. My mom's flan tempted him, but otherwise he's being very careful.
I love donuts. I'm a color donut guy. I like
Is
red
that
velvet,
'cause you're
the
colored?
blueberry.
Because you're colored.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
I didn't know there was a red. I have never heard a red velvet donut described as a colored donut. That's
yeah, it's red.
Yeah, no, thank you.
We call grape Kool-Aid and cherry Kool-Aid, red Kool-Aid and
Red
purple
grape.
Kool-Aid. Yeah, we just.
That is the kind of analysis you will only get from all the smoke. The elaboration of yes, it's red. It's a
Red for sure.
Wait a second, guys. Backwoods or Dutch Masters?
Neither.
Wow, really?
Neither.
What are you doing? Raw.
Is he an amateur? He's an amateur.
I mean, I did Swishers for like 20 plus years. I met Jack when me and Jack first started hanging out. We were both Swishers heavy, but just that it sits on your lungs. So I've graduated thanks to Wiz Khalifa to papers about 8 years ago.
Yeah,
No backwoods. Yeah. I like the tobacco wraps, but no backwoods.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to do this to thanks to Wiz Khalifa.
Look at me,
Just an unnecessary.
No, I mean,
name
he's right.
drop.
He's
no,
right. No,
it's
he's
a-
right.
It's an unnecessary name drop.
He's right.
He's Matt Barnes.
He's right.
No, but it's unnecessary.
Everybody knows him.
Like he could have learned it from anybody. He wouldn't have said, Jose, my friend Jose.
Wiz brought it into the
public sphere. Dan.
Exactly.
Okay, but still, I'm assuming that he's doing it personally. It's not just because Wiz Khalifa is making it popular. I'm assuming he's smoking with Wiz Khalifa. No?
Yeah. I mean, that's,
All right, I was wrong, Dan. My bad.
He's my neighbor.
Hit it again.
See you guys later. Again, you can expect someone from their crew once a week. Thank you, guys.
No doubt. Thanks for having us, fellas.
All right.
Oh, wait. Dan, we still there?
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to plug our tour. Can
All right,
we plug it real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All the Smoke live tour. Appreciate all the fans that pitched in. We asked where you guys wanted us to visit, and the first stop will be Detroit, June 3rd, Detroit, and then Chicago, June 4th. So that'll be the first two stops of our tour. I think we got 6 more to come, but those are the first 2 stops. So get your tickets now. Pre-sale tickets are available. Man, come have a good time with us.
Where are they available? You want to tell the people where they're available?
Tickets are where?
Tickets are
Check our Instagram.
All right, you got to do better
Instagram,
than that.
tickets are available.
You got to do
fine. No,
come
you
on.
did fine.
Come on, Barnes. You did fine.
We just got the information. They just got greenlit. So go to All the Smoke Instagram.
Yeah.
Get your pre-sale.
Don't listen to him, Matt.
And go to All the Smoke Instagram. The commercial and the announcement about it is much better.
Okay.
Classic stack.
See you later. Our thanks
All right, guys.
again to Matt Barnes and Jerry Stackhouse for being on the show. Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Does someone who started watching the NBA last night think that Kobe White was the best player in the sport last night?
Yeah, he was. Speaking of Chicago, though, and donuts, I was thinking about how my favorite donut is a Long John, even though I haven't had one in years.
A what?
And I realized that's a regional
What's a
Chicago
Long John?
thing. A Long John
That's
is
not
just
a cruller?
It's just a long donut. I don't know if there's a difference, but in Chicago we call them Long Johns.
Do you know, have you heard of a cruller? I've always
have.
called the long one a cruller. Is that what a Long John, like a long
I
twisty
thought it was
one?
a cruller.
It might be.
Is it?
I thought it was a crawler.
Huh.
Seems nowadays that they put bacon bits in Long Johns now.
What?
Huh?
Well,
oh, yeah,
what-
the maple ones. Yeah, those look good. Well, I mean, I don't know. I was just, in my head, I was thinking about all the regional Chicago foods, deep dish pizza, and it reminded me of something I saw on Twitter yesterday, which is that Angel Reese from our Chicago Sky Chris is trying to rebrand herself now that she's no longer the Bayou Barbie. She's in Chicago now, and so she solicited and asked to her Twitter followers of what she should name herself now that she's in Chicago, and Deep Dish Diva was one of the replies, which I did like. I also saw the Windy City Barbie, which that one, I'm not sure.
Not good.
The Barbie on the lake. That
No.
was my
Also not
suggestion.
good.
I also agree it's not good. A lot of not good suggestions in her reply, so I don't know what she's going to go with. But I know Stugotz is the king of the athlete nickname. So do you have any kind of pointers on what makes it catchy?
Well, no, it's gotta stand out, but it's gotta be something off of Angel. I feel like it's gotta be something with her first name, like something off of that. Angel, Chicago, use some of that and bring it all together. You
Okay,
know?
so get to work on it. We will see if we can give some help in this regard. I maintain, I don't know how many people would agree with this, put this on the poll. Is Chicago deep dish pizza the best of all the pizzas?
No, it's
because
not.
plenty,
Absolutely not.
plenty
Wow.
people.
Stop that.
It's the best of all the nicknames.
Detroit
I can tell you
pizza's
that
great
much.
too.
Yeah.
The reason I bring it up is because not everyone likes, and you're not going to be surprised by this, what? I can have a pizza and it'll have the consistency of cake? I'll take it. Like something thick and like 3 pizzas? It'll feel like something that I should be eating with a fork and knife, but I know a lot of people think that all of that is blasphemy, that it can't be a big, thick, buttery thing that's just dripping all over the place.
The crust of the deep dish is just incredible. The cornbread flavor, it's so good. And then you have a thick layer of cheese and then sauce. And I was talking about this with Kugler the other day, and he had a name for something that I've never known there was a name for before, which is like the cheese lasso that gets stuck in the back of your throat if you eat too melty of a piece of cheese from a slice of deep dish pizza. And I have frequently been eating deep dish pizza and felt this phenomenon and been like,
without it ever having a
the
name.
cheese is so stretchy that, I mean, you could literally do a cheese pull across the entire Chicago River.
I'd love
Dan.
to.
Yeah, but
And
here's
it's
the problem with Chicago pizza. When the first thing you talk about is the crust, bad pizza. I'm not getting
I
pizza
was
for the
just
crust.
describing it from the top up.
I understand, and I appreciate you describing it for
That's
us.
the key to
I'm
any
not being
pizza.
irrational.
No.
It's the key to any pizza.
No,
a
too
good
much
New York,
crust.
a good
No.
New York style has a nice crispy piece of crust.
Yeah,
Good
but
crust.
it's thin. It's thin. You don't notice it.
The crust is like the defining feature of the, like, that's why it's like thin crust versus deep dish. Like,
Oh,
that's-
irrational.
Thank you, Chris. That's how I feel. Look, I'm not here to defend deep dish pizza. I think both types
I
of
am.
pizza
You are. I
have
am.
their
It sounds like
place
you are, yeah.
in cuisine. I love a thin slice. I love a deep dish. They're both delicious. I'm just saying.
Put it on the poll.
dish pizza.
What
I
are
don't
you
even
saying?
know what the
That's
fuck I'm
good.
saying
At Le
anymore.
Batard Show. To say I'm just saying and having just said it and then continue saying it is a choice.
I'm just saying we could do better than deep dish diva.
At Le
but I don't know
Batard
how.
Show, I want to ask the question: preferred crust, thin or thick? Because I do like it to be bready, but I understand people who prefer don't want so much bread, want the cheese, want the sauce. But I, not surprisingly, prefer just general more. My favorite kind of pizza is more.
Dan, when you have that Detroit crispy edge with the cheese pizza, I know you've had Detroit style pizza, Dan. That to me is the better crust than just bread or the flaky buttery crust.
But you say this, and I'm just talking about, I'm not simply talking about like a thick piece of pizza that you would get at Whole Foods. I'm talking about what they do in Chicago where they bring it out on that skillet that it has been in an oven.
It's a deep dish. Yeah.
And yeah, thank you, Stugotz. It is.
If I wanted a lasagna, I would have ordered lasagna.
It's not lasagna. This is a Long John. I'm showing the video right now. And then a cruller right there, Dan. Very different. Very different. Someone just texted me.
Well, the cruller or cruller or whatever it is that Chris Cody calls it, it's the only long name I had ever had for a donut. I didn't know any other name. I don't know what this Long John thing is. Here it would be a Long Juan in Miami. I don't know what that is. I don't know what's in it. Somebody just put bacon in it, put maple in it. And I'm like, yeah, put that on my deep dish pizza. I put it, it'll make everything
I'll
better.
get you one, but I might steal it first.
I'm not touching it, dude.
Touch it. You gotta touch it.
I'm not touching it.
¿Quién lo puede tocar?
No, I already touched
You can touch it, dude. You can touch it, dude. Come on, stop. We're here on Calle, and what you see over my shoulder is Casa Los Trucos, which literally translates into House of Tricks or House of Costumes. Carlito, let's go. All right, now he's got to fix his hair. Look at this guy trying to get... Hey. El Papa.
El Papa.
Let's go.
El Papa Estrella. I feel like Walter Mercado.
Ooh, this would be something that Walter would wear.
Oh,
you gotta duck down. There you go. Attaboy.
Hoy es el día de la luna.
¿Qué cosa es esto?
¿Qué es esto?
Cógelo.
Hold on.
¿Dónde lo agarro?
Ahora eso.
¡Ay, Dios mío!
¿Qué te pasó?
¿Qué te pasó?
Casa Los Trucos. No sé. ¿Qué pasó?
No sé.
¿Dónde lo agarro?
No, aquí no.
Dude, get this guy.
No, I'm gonna get shocked, dude.
Mira los ojos. A nivel con los ojos. Si no te pones a nivel con los ojos ahí, a nivel con los ojos ahí.
¿Y el ratoncito ese?
No, I'm not touching that, dude. I don't like getting shocked, dude. I get scared, dude.
Ese aquí. No, aquí.
No, ahí mismo.
Tú verás que brinco.
¿Qué brincos, right?
Mira este.
Taylor, come on with this thing.
This is incredible. ¿Y la maquinita qué?
Coge el donut.
Coge el donut.
¿Y la máquina? Me dijeron que una máquina aquí para caminar.
La máquina para caminar.
Para caminar.
Esta, échate en el bolsillo.
En el bolsillo, ok.
Agáchate.
Agáchate, ¿tú lo quieres hacer?
Ahí.
Me voy a poner ahí, ok.
Agáchate a ver los tenis, compadre.
¡Hey! Aguanta.
Está flojo. Vaya, carajo.
Coño, carajo. ¿Y tú estás caca?
Caca.
Tremenda mierda.
Este es de hoy, todo esto es de hoy.
De hoy, fresh.
El botón, los dos botones.
¡Ah! ¡Yo! ¡Qué brinco!
I'm not touching it, dude.
Touch it. You
No,
gotta touch
I'm
it.
not touching it.
¿Quién lo puede tocar?
No, I already touched
You can touch it. No, you can touch it. You can touch it, dude. You can touch it, dude. Come on, stop.
Eso no te hace nada, hijo, dale.
Ah! Go ahead and do it. Like, see if it transfers. Ready? Ah! I didn't feel it. Ah.
Tómate una Coca-Cola.
No, chico, muchas gracias. Tiene sed, tiene sed. Tiene sed,
No te pasa nada.
¡Hey!
I saw him do it, and it was still terrifying. And this thing's like hooked up to a wire,
Te
dude.
ganaste 20
Dale.
dólares. Te ganaste 20 dólares.
Oh, you gotta be quicker than that.
Bro, I thought I was gonna get shocked again, bro. I don't want to get shocked. I'm scared. He hasn't done enough of them.
What are you talking about?
You haven't done enough of them.
¿Qué tienes ahí?
Un trapito, coño. Un trapito, lo mete aquí,
Ajá.
sigue metiendo, y en esta mano lo hace así, igual que le hace así.
¿Dónde está?
Mira. Míralo aquí.
No, no joda.
Mira.
No, sí, joda.
Ya.
Mira, yo tengo uno.
Ping pong pong.
Ay.
Another one, dude? I'm like, I did 7 of them already. ¿Qué hago? ¿Te lo abro?
Sí, ahora sí. Café todo el mundo ahí.
Es un café, bro.
Café todo el mundo ahí.
Dale,
Go.
Tremendo pingazo.
Oh, God.
Oh my God! I wasn't expecting that, not even a little bit, dude. Not even a little bit, dude. You could have given me 1,000 guesses. I would not have said a wiener. Te digo que no te pasó. ¡Ah, me cago en tres!
Thank you for watching Tony Tonight. Carlito, cut the block.
Folks, I'm super excited because the Panthers playoffs starting this weekend got me out of something this weekend that I had to do. So me and my wife, we're trying to tackle one of our rooms. You guys ever tackle a room?
Yeah.
We have one room.
Oh, boy, yes.
We have one room that has kind of gotten out of
Spring
control.
cleaning.
It's turned into a storage room, but we got to turn it into an office. My wife is starting a new job soon. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Where she's going to be working from
Is
home.
embargoed?
Whatever. I said it. But anyway, so
Your wife's current boss
so we have to
is
redo
listening.
a room. So the plan is
He's
this,
like, what the?
the plan is this Saturday, drop off my daughter at the in-laws at 9 a.m. and just spend all of Saturday cleaning. It kind of sucks. Like, it's something we need to do, but it's not a Saturday I'm looking forward to.
Is she going to get in the way if she doesn't go?
I don't know.
You don't know.
But anyways, so I tell her yesterday.
So wait, you're not inviting your wife to the game?
No,
You're
listen.
going with the boys?
I'm going to the hockey game.
Right, with the boys?
I'm going on Saturday, and it's at 12:30. So I told my wife. I said, "Hey, wife, can't clean." Chris,
I hate to tell you this, but the Panthers game is on Sunday.
No, it's not.
No, it's on Sunday.
Yeah, it's Sunday at 12:30.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, I can look it up. I can make sure, but I'm
wife
pretty
is-
sure.
Wait a minute. So I have to clean?
Yeah, you're going to have to clean, buddy.
It is Sunday. Shit.
Canceled on your
Learn how to clean, buddy.
Should I call my wife? No, I'm not calling her. I'm not calling Kyle right
Get
now.
Kyle.
Wow.
Kyle, guess what? You have a cleaning buddy
That
on
is-
Saturday.
It-
Can you pretend it's Saturday and leave the house
I don't
for
know if
4
my
hours?
wife would my wife know the difference. No, she's kind of if she's in on anything these days, it's
It'd be the
Panthers.
Panthers?
Yeah.
If it was a Heat game, could you convince her that there's a Heat game on Saturday that you need to go to for some reason? At
Saturday 12:30 Heat game is crazy.
God, it was
Sunday
such a-
at 1 if they
Yeah.
win.
When I saw this Panther time, when I thought it was Saturday, I was so excited to text my wife. She even made plans. Like, I have to tell her now that it's Sunday. Like, she thinks it's Saturday.
It would have been Saturday if they played Toronto.
So she canceled cleaning and made plans with friends. And now you're going to, because you said, hey, I have to go to this game. And so now you have to turn around and tell her, not only did I cancel cleaning for a game that didn't exist, but you now have to cancel plans with your friends.
This sucks. There was nothing better than getting out of cleaning plans for a playoff Panthers game, and now it's the complete opposite.
But
Now
you-
I have to clean, and then on Sunday, now I just have a busy weekend.
Even if you get out of the clean, you do. That sucks, man. It's gonna fly.
And I'm
too.
telling you, this room is so much worse than you guys are imagining. Like, it is going
Send
to
us a
take
picture
us
of
the
it.
Yeah, I want a
entire
picture.
day.
Man,
I think
I'm thinking of
it
like a
was
lot
as
of
bad as mine?
boxes, like a lot of like
Not even
bags.
boxes. It's just like crap, like
Crap.
empty
Random stuff.
suitcases and like
I know exactly.
a
I know
picture we used to have at
exactly
our
what you
old
mean.
house that we haven't hung up at this one. It's just like
Yes.
shit.
How long have you
junk.
been living there?
Longer than I've been telling Tony since I remember at the pandemic. When the pandemic first started, I was doing the show from my living room saying me and my wife were getting this office together. And that was at the pandemic.
That's why I wanted to bring that up.
Me and my wife do not lead the league in tackling things around the house.
Here's my question though. Even if you put it off this weekend, you're still going to eventually have to do it. You might as well just get it over.
I
with.
know. Yeah.
Although it also sounds like maybe you never will.
That's what
So
I'm saying.
not
But my
Yeah,
my
exactly.
wife's job change is like really lighting a fire under her ass because like
Oh
she's
my
gonna
God.
be working
I
from home
thought
3
someone
days a
just
week.
farted.
That's the
Sorry,
fire.
guys.
I said
Do you
there's a-
hear
I-
that drill?
I said there's a fire under my ass. and there it is.
I thought someone just ripped it back here. Oh
I-
my God.
It's amazing how much noise we
Me
deal
and the
with in the
Metro.
studio.
Yeah. I had to do the same thing plus paint.
Dude,
That's
don't
even
paint.
worse.
If I've learned anything about home ownership, pay people to paint.
Yeah, we're painting.
Yeah, I learned that the
You're
hard way.
painting?
Pay
Yeah, we're
people to
painting.
move. Pay people to paint.
I mean, at this point, if you have the means, I would pay people to do everything.
It's already
but
done.
Of all the things,
Can you pay people to clean out that room? Is that?
I've
a-
actually-
could. You absolutely could.
I've looked it up.
Thumbtack.
Yeah, of course you
I
did.
even had an email exchange with the guy, but it was going to cost like $1,200, and he
Oh
was
my
gonna have
God.
to, like,
Might as
$1,200?
well
It
just
was,
buy
that
a
was
new
like,
house.
and that was if like he's like that's just for like 9 hours or something. He's like, we'll come in 2 days, like 9
my
hours
God.
total, but it's 12. I was just like,
Oh,
how
that's a
bad is
ripoff.
this room? But really, I have to help because part of this
9
guy's
hours.
thing is him just like being the offensive coordinator.
All
right.
Oh,
That's
you
where-
can kiss
You're
my
paying
ass for $1,200
to work.
That's what it was
Get
like.
the hell
he's
outta
like,
here.
He's like, you'll have to be there to like, because obviously it's your stuff, so you have to kind of like.
It's like you're on an HGTV show
I know, it's
or
like
something.
Dude, $1,200.
What if we can get you on an HGTV show so someone can, like Marie Kondo can come and look at all your junk and ask if it sparks joy and then organize all of it?
Are you ready to
Call
see
it
your
cleaning
fixer-upper?
Chris.
from your lips, man? I would love that.
$1,200 and the guy's playing offensive coordinator telling
put that over
Christy
there.
to get him
Put
a
that over there,
lemonade,
Chris.
and Chris is like, dude, what the fuck?
Christy, lift up this couch.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, heave.
Wow, I just heard in my ear, Taylor and Fuentes will do it for $1,000.
Huh?
Wow, discount.
Can I not be there though? Like, do I have to be
Taylor
offensive
would do
coordinator?
anything for $1,000.
Yeah, Can we talk about this?
Yes.
I don't want to.
It's
dude.
gross what we
You
talked
don't
about
want
earlier.
to.
I painted a hypothetical earlier outside of the show. I don't know how we even got here. How did we get here? Anyways, it was
so our bevy machine, which is like our water dispenser,
yes.
is broken, right? So we're having to get our water from a different source. We have like one of those like fill up bottle stations with a fountain. And the problem is that our bevy gives us such cold water that our water fountain is not as cold as the bevy. So it feels like a little bit of backwash when you're drinking it.
And I was drinking warm water, and I believe it was
Carmen.
Carmen said she like just
Snap your fingers on that?
I was
No, it was offensive coordinator. I got
She's
it.
like
Oh, yeah,
it's like
good.
you're
Offensive
drinking spit, or she's like you're drinking mucus. So she painted the picture of me drinking mucus. So it got me thinking, how much would I have to pay someone if everyone in our office spit into a cup, and it created like
it makes me want to
a
gag
big
thinking about
shot amount of liquid.
Yeah,
like
no.
all of our spit combined, it makes like a
Tony, do what you would do if it was you.
Like what I was thinking of when everybody has to spit in the cup is watching everybody spit into said cup, right? It's not just gonna come already like spit
Stop
into.
doing that, man.
Like you have to get them with a.
So imagine that. So imagine 25
guys.
people doing that into a cup.
Everyone's gonna hate
And what
this.
would be your number, Jeremy? How much would I have to pay you to drink that?
God.
Taylor said $500.
What? Well, you're
Oh, yeah, that's
asking
a
someone
low
who
ball,
doesn't
man.
have health insurance.
My boy is
Yeah,
down
same.
bad though.
Dude,
so.
I've seen this guy bet. This is like
This guy's fine.
he's doing all right.
He's gonna bet that on a FIU football on a Tuesday night.
I was thinking like 10K.
Dude, it's a lot of spit.
That can only clean out
10K?
one room 10
know.
times.
That's
That's, not
true.
enough.
All right, maybe 20K. Roy, what's your number?
I'm not doing it.
Ah, Roy.
Stop
If I
that.
put 30 stacks in front of you.
I'm not doing it.
Roy, I put
if
a
it's hash right here.
I'm not doing it.
If
Ra-
it's not like the weird mucusy spit like that, like where you're
No, no,
Just
it's
regular
not-
saliva?
Jerry Stackhouses?
It spits. No, it's not that. It's whatever everybody spits in that thing.
No,
you gotta
spit
get
of
it.
choice. Spit of choice.
Stugotz, too.
I could handle it
Oh,
without
Stugotz
the mucus.
right after a cigarette too.
Ooh, tasty. Bit of a smoky flavor.
Turn this off.
Roy, if somebody gives you $1 million cash,
$1 million.
you're a
Roy.
fucking
No.
liar.
You're a liar.
I am not lying. I'm
Okay,
not drinking
all right,
your
buddy.
saliva, dude.
Okay, $1 million.
No.
I just met a liar.
You know, you could
Meadow
accuse me
Larker.
of a lot of things, but liar is not one of them.
Goodbye, everyone.
Hey!
Dude, you're doing it for 50 stacks. If
I'm
50
not- no,
stacks
I-
is right in
absolutely
front
not.
of you,
$1 million,
No.
Roy?
down the
No.
hatch, bro. Down the hatch.
No.
Roy,
Absolutely not.
$1 million.
No.
That's crazy.
And I have health insurance, too, so no.
You're gonna need it after too.
Yeah.